A battle is taking place on some kind of yin-yang map. Kneeling, someone spits blood on the ground. With their life almost at zero, they say they surrender. The hero looks to the side and asks if anyone else wants to join him. A muscular man comments that it's incredible he's already reached level 200, while another woman says she's never heard of him. This same hero is actually in his room playing an RPG and comments that people don't know how much he had to pay. His nickname is Zhu Zheng, and he had to play the character until he reached level 200. Smiling, he says he's been playing this game for 5 years and plans to keep playing for another 5 years just to surprise everyone. He tells everyone to remember his name. Very excited, he keeps talking. However, the computer screen starts glitching. Seeing this, he becomes extremely surprised and worried. With his hands on his face, he can't believe it's going to bug right now. It's such an important moment. The gang notifies him that his account was reported for dishonest actions and will be banned and deleted. Punching the monitor and rage until it breaks, he says he played this game for 5 years, completing missions and dungeons, and now they accuse him of hacking. Due to the punch, he receives a strong electric shock, falling back onto his chair. Because of the high voltage, he ends up fainting and remaining unconscious in his chair. Sometime later, he opens his eyes. He realizes he's falling somewhere. He lands near some weapons, hitting them. On his knees, he starts spitting on the ground. Seeing this terrible scene, someone comments that trash like him is the leader's son, and another says he's very lucky because he was born into the right family. The big guy stomps hard on the ground and orders him to stand up. Furious, he repeats the command, yelling at him to stand up again. With his body trembling, the young man wonders if he's dreaming. Then he stands up, along with the dust rising around him. Seeing this, the man says it's what he expected from his boss, and that the leader's son is no match for him. Hurt and beaten, the protagonist says it's better not to kill them in his dream. Smiling, the semi-bald man says he didn't expect him to be this tough. Then he prepares to draw his sword. Intervening, a boy with blue hair tells the young master to stop this. Quickly, he grabs the hero by the arm and starts dragging him across the ground. Confused, the master starts asking why this guy is so strong. At that moment, various memories flood his mind, driving him completely mad. Meanwhile, the blue-haired boy keeps dragging him away. Lost in thought, the hero begins to realize this isn't a dream. He becomes certain that he has ended up in another world. He notices he has just absorbed this body's memories and understands that this world is similar to the one he lived in. However, 10 years ago, a global firestorm ruined this planet. Since that event, many things changed as many people turned into zombies. However, many people who survived and awakened and gained a type of power called the power of the stars. Those who've had the power of the stars can be 10 or even 100 times stronger than ordinary humans. In this world, his father is a level 5-star professional and he's also the leader at the East City. Starting a new life with his father, who is the leader of a city, doesn't seem so bad, he thinks. However, he feels frustrated when he realizes the only problem is that he's trash who can't cultivate. At that moment, his father enters the room calling for his son Zheng, saying he's back. Surprised, the boy looks at him, wondering if this is really his father, as despite being a professional, he looks like a very normal person. His father tells him not to bother Uncle Yu, saying he also wants him to become strong. Sitting on the bed, he invites the boy to try again, hoping that this time he can awaken the power of the stars. With his hands on his back, he tells him to follow his instructions and generate the star power. In his mind, the boy understands that it seems he can't cultivate, but his father nonetheless keeps using this method to help him, which leaves him emotional. Smiling, he affirms in his mind that he is no longer the old Zhang Zheng. 2 hours pass, and he realizes he can't feel any star power coming from his body. Dejected, he apologizes to his father, saying he's trash, and the old man tells him not to worry and not to be discouraged. He assures him that even if he can't cultivate now, as long as he's alive, no one will hurt him. Leaving his room, he tells the boy to rest. Sighing, he tears up, calling out for his father. Suddenly, the system notifies him, saying it has been activated and asking if he wants to enter the game. At that moment, his own avatar appears, and they stare at each other. Observing more closely, the protagonist realizes that this is his looter account, which was at level 200. He then approaches the notification to select this option. Feeling very nervous, he thinks about what to choose. However, he quickly opts for the yes option and selects it. Looking at the attributes, he realizes he wanted to be the game character, but these attributes are only at level 1. Several screens appear from store and set of options to exiting the game and skills. Analyzing carefully, he wonders if only the third skill can be summoned. He starts looking closely at the screen. States that he will be able to find the weaknesses of his target, but the target won't be affected. Gets 10 levels above the player. The boy concludes that the system can only provide the level 1 thief character and some skills. Discouraged, he wonders if he's still trash and realizes this place isn't a game, questioning where he can find quests to level up. Someone calls for the young master, informing him that dinner is ready, and irritated, he says he's not in the mood to eat. Approaching the room, the person says he can't skip meals and asks if he knows how many people out there can't even eat a piece of bread. Very annoyed, the boy starts to speak. However, looking at the person in question, he becomes embarrassed and shocked. It's a woman named Sue, ranked as a martial dwarf artist with strength 8, physique 10, constitution 9, and agility 15. The boy is impressed. Blushing, he wonders if this house even has such a beauty. However, the woman looks quite confused. At that moment, the boy gets up and approaches her. He gives her a slap, and very embarrassed, she asks her young master what he's doing. Smiling, he says he just wanted to check if it was real. Irritated, she leaves, saying she doesn't want to deal with him anymore, and tries to explain, claiming he was talking about her attributes and was misunderstood. Sometime later, the woman and his father are sitting at the table for dinner. Lost in thought, the young man realizes he can see the stats of other people, but for those with very high levels like his father, he can't see anything. Holding the bowl in his hand, he starts thinking about the monsters outside the city. As expected, his attributes are only slightly stronger than those of ordinary people. Thus, if he wants to level up, you will need to find a good defensive item. Lin Shi appears, saying that his path has already been set and he wants to participate in training, so he shouldn't go out until things improve. Approaching the boy, the hero asks if there are weapons around. Taking him to another place, Lin explains that this is the shooting range for training. Another person appears, saying it's a rare visitor. It's Yan Boshin, who asks young Master Zhao if he's free today and decided to come to the shooting range. The man in the cap asks if he's finally woken up to reality and if this time he's becoming a martial artist by trying to practice shooting. Then the blonde tells him not to mind as he's just joking. However, the protagonist says he's right and claims he came there to practice. The man in the cap asks leader Yan what he plans to do, and Yan says that in this apocalyptic world, a shooter will never be better than a martial artist. Smiling, the boy says he's very happy and will take his weapon to play with it for a few days. Nervous, the man in the cap says that besides taking the weapon, he also took several bullets, but Yan explains that he's trash and can play with it for a few days. Sometime later, on an abandoned road, Lan explains to the young master that moving forward, they're entering the city. He mentions that he only has one weapon, and that leaving the city is dangerous. However, the boy says not to worry and that he just wants to kill some zombies and see if he can gain levels. In front of the giant wall, the blue-haired boy explains that this wall is what protects them from poisonous zombies and monsters, and that beyond it lies a hell full of monsters. Suddenly, someone appears at the top of the giant wall. Then one of them jumps down in front of the two boys, staring at them. It's Shu Lai, a third-stage martial artist, who asks who sent them there. The boy is happy to see his uncle and explains that they're there to help him kill zombies. Scolding him, the man tells him to return to the city immediately. From atop the wall, someone informs the leader that some zombies are crossing the defense line. Intervening, the boy tells him to wait right now. He tells his uncle that he knows no one likes him, but politely asks to show his shooting skills, at least once. Reacting to this, the man just observes and begins to think. On top of the wall, the protagonist prepares to shoot with his sniper rifle. Aiming at some zombies, he questions if these really are zombies and whether he'll gain some XP by seeing their HP bars and levels. Determined, he pulls the trigger. However, he only manages to hit a zombie's shoulder. Irritated, the man says he shouldn't have yelled at him since he's trash at shooting. The boy, frustrated, responds that a shot to the arms still took some HP. Focused, he realizes he must locate the weak points. At this moment, he starts analyzing the weak points of each zombie. Deciding to aim for the head of one, he successfully zeroes out its HP. The system notifies him that he earned 100 XP, leaving him surprised. Looking at his attributes, he feels happy and realizes that if he's right, he can gain more experience by killing monsters. The zombies become furious upon seeing one of them hit. Concentrated, the protagonist lands another headshot on one. He also hits another in the torso. When he finishes the last zombie, he gains 120 XP, slightly more than before. The system quickly notifies him that he has leveled up. Surprised, he wonders if this is what leveling up feels like. Smiling, he declares that this feeling is better than relaxing in a hot spring. His uncle praises him, saying that even though he needs practice, it's clear the boy has talent. The boy then realizes that apparently no one can see the light that appears when he levels up, confirming it works just like a game. He decides to add 3 points to agility and 2 to strength. From below, someone shouts to the leader, saying they found a star crystal. Afterward, everyone descends from the wall. Zheng asks his uncle if these crystals can be found in zombie corpses. The man responds that not all zombies have them and that he was lucky to find one. He explains that star crystals are categorized by colors: white, blue, green, purple, orange, and red, with white being the lowest rank. Even within white, there are low, medium, and high quality crystals. He elaborates that these crystals are more valuable than money, and a small piece of a low-quality white crystal can feed a normal person for a week. Handing the white crystal to his uncle, Zheng says he can trade it for a few packs of cigarettes for his companions. Walking away, the hero says this is his way of thanking them, and one of the men remarks that he didn't expect Zheng to be a good person. Half a month passes. The protagonist has already reached level 4 with the thief profession. His stats are strength, 46 stamina, 26 physique, 81 in agility, 55. His uncle serves in a bowl of food. The man asks if the boy has truly given up on cultivation. Zhang replied that no matter how strong a martial artist is, they'll still fear bullets. Correcting him, his uncle explains that if that's the case, the martial artist must be low level, as martial artists at level 6 or higher don't fear even snipers. Zhang then states he'll have to consider other paths, and his uncle remarks that he certainly has a positive mindset. Meanwhile, his father is in the back of a pickup truck, fighting off several zombies. Surprised to see this, the boy asks his uncle if that's the patrol team's truck his father was on. Another man, Mervis, tells the leader that a group of zombies is following behind the patrol truck. Seeing this, Jing decides to help his father, and in no time he lands multiple headshots on the zombies. After annihilating the zombies, everyone seems fine. His father says it's not bad and notes that his aim has improved significantly. The uncle asks where the rest of the group is, and the man replies that they ran into some trouble, mentioning that toxic zombies have been more active than ever recently. Staring at his father, the boy suspects he's hiding something and recalls that when they left in the morning, the truck wasn't as damaged as it is now. He wonders how a 2-star martial artist ended up scratched and injured by mere ordinary zombies. Then everyone leaves the area in the truck. The 4 of them sit together in the back of the truck. Breaking the silence, Jen calls out to his father and begins to speak. However, the man interrupts him, shouting to stop the truck immediately. Obeying the order, the truck halts. The man tells his subordinates that they should know what happens after being wounded by a toxic zombie. The injured man begins to cry, calling out to his lord. Ben Hong points a gun at his head. He tells him to forgive him and rest in peace, and pulls the trigger. Shocked by this, the boy tells himself that it was at that moment he realized that in this world, life is incredibly precious. Hours later, the 3 of them are eating together again. However, Zheng is still perplexed by everything he just witnessed. Bowen asks why he isn't eating properly, and he responds that he's not hungry. His father explains that he needs to get used to this kind of thing, and if he doesn't, he won't be able to succeed and take over the position. Slamming his hand on the table in frustration, Zheng begins to say that the man was his subordinate. Interrupting him, his father explains that for the greater number of people to survive, some sacrifices are necessary. He then orders that Zheng is forbidden to leave the house and tells the housekeeper, Sue, to keep an eye on him and ensure he doesn't leave. The next day arrives. The hero manages to tie several sheets together to make a sort of rope and sneaks out of the house. Sighing, the housekeeper finds a note asking her to help him keep this a secret. Lan tells the young master that he agreed to keep the secret, but is disobeying the Lord's orders and warns that the forest is very dangerous, so they should return. The boy says he's tired of zombies and realizes that zombie XP is too low, and the most important thing for him is to level up quickly. Blocking his path, Lan says their only job is to protect him, so the protagonist questions if Lan wants him to become useless towards Sun. At that moment, Zheng pulls out his weapon and points it near Lan's head. Pulling the trigger, he explains that this is why he's determined to become strong and protect himself. He lands a perfect shot on a snake close to the man's head. Looking back, he realizes it's a gray shadow snake, which is venomous, and wonders why he couldn't detect its presence. In his mind, he understands that if the martial artist couldn't sense the snake, how did he manage to notice it? Lan comments that the snake doesn't have a crystal. After gaining XP, Zheng remarks that it's not bad, leaving the man confused because he can't see anything. The protagonist comments that this is the perfect spot, which infuriates Lan, who says these snakes hide very well and that Zheng should return immediately. However, the hero refuses, stating that for him, this is a divine area and the hunt must begin. He then ventures into the forest. Sometime later, Lan remarks that the young master returned quite early today. Climbing the stairs, Zheng replies that the day is nearly over. Rubbing his head, he says he's told Lan many times to call him Brother Zhou, not young master. He then tosses a white crystal into Lan's hand. He says it's for him that he found it today, doesn't need it, and that Lan should use it to heal his sister. Tearing up, Lan thanks him profusely. Carrying a sack over his shoulder, Lan asks the young master if they're taking food for them again, to which Zheng responds affirmatively. Lan notes that over the past half-month, Zheng has given them almost all the parts in the snakes he hunted and mentions that if he sold them, he could make a lot of money. When they arrive at the place, all the children call him Brother Zhou. Laughing, a little girl hugs him, saying she managed to reach Brother Zhou first. Lifting her, he asks if she isn't afraid of falling and running around like that. The girl asks if he brought snake meat today. Annoyed, Lan thinks about how he's the one who carried the snake meat and wonders if they care about him, calling them heartless brats. Then he starts taking the snake meat out of the sack. At that moment, several adults approach. A woman named Aunt Lu tells the young master that she's heard of those snakes are difficult to deal with and that it's too risky to keep hunting them. Lam calls her an old witch and says Master Zhou is a divine sniper and that even if the Snake Queen appeared, it would still be easy for him. Sometime later, back at home, they are having their usual daily meal while the housekeeper stands by. The man comments that he told them not to let Zheng leave the house, and over the past half-month, he didn't even bother hiding the fact that Zheng was always out. The housekeeper intervenes, saying it's her fault for being unable to stop the boy, but the man replies that it's not her fault. Wiping his mouth, he asks if the rumor about the divine sniper is about his son, and if it's true that he killed several gray snakes. Laughing under the sunlight, Zheng says he has a natural talent for being a sniper. Standing up from the table, his father says it's not bad, but reminds him to stay away from those peasants. Not understanding the reason, Zheng asks why. His father explains that if things go wrong one day, they will become a burden to him. Hearing this, the hero remains silent. Elsewhere, a man asks another who shoots better, Lai Dai or young Master Zhao. The boy replies that young Master Zhao is better and also kinder. Irritated, the blonde questions how trash-like Day dares compare himself to him and says he'll show everyone who the real divine sniper is. Jokus is surprised and asks if this piece of junk belongs to Master Zhou. Annoyed, it tells him to shut up and stop saying that name, or he'll make him disappear from the world forever. However, it turns out to be young Master Zhou himself, who greets them with a good morning. Irritated, the blonde waves back, saying it's a coincidence, and that they were just looking for him. Walking past and stretching, the protagonist says it's another perfect day for hunting. Ye tells him to stop and listen, and the protagonist asks if he's yelling at him. Sighing, the blonde prepares to speak. Smiling, Ye says he's heard about his divine shooting skills and the rumors. Zhang responds that people like to exaggerate such things. The blonde then invites him to a shooting competition, thinking to himself that Zhang is trash and that he'll show him what it means to be at the peak of human shooting skills. Quickly declining, Zhang walks away, saying he doesn't have time for that. However, it suggests they wager a green crystal and questions how the son of a lord could be afraid to accept the challenge. Turning back, Zhang asks Ye how he wants to compete. Nervously, the blonde suggests shooting moving targets, but the hero asks if that isn't boring. Irritated, the blonde asks what he has in mind for the competition. Smiling, Zhang suggests they go outside to hunt, and after a day, whoever brings back the most valuable catch wins. This suggestion leaves Ye slightly concerned. Smiling, he agrees to start the competition in a week and wishes everyone good luck in preparing. Inside the forest, Lan remarks that Zhang is clever and shouldn't be deceived by Ye's acting. The protagonist replies that he's met many people like that before. However, Lan comments that despite that, Zhang accepted the competition and that hunting battles outside the city come with many risks. The hero says that one day, we'll have to leave the city and visit other places. At that moment, he jumps from a tree with a sword toward a giant fly. He lands a direct hit without difficulty. However, the fly gets back up with a sliver of HP. It charges at the hero, who dodges due to his immense agility. He finishes it off, earning 550 XP, and comments that arrogant people like Ye need to be put in their place. Sometime later elsewhere, a man informs his lord that Ye has challenged young Master Zhou to a hunting competition. The lord says there's no need to worry as Zhang knows what he's doing. However, upon further thought, the lord considers making some preparations in advance. Meanwhile, in a zombie-infested area, an old man begins to laugh, saying the scene is beautiful and very rare. Watching the zombies shuffle around, he declares that the game begins now. Zheng arrives, greeting people after his hunt and wishing himself luck in the competition. A woman says that everyone will bet on his victory. Lan comments that Zheng seems to have become a completely different person and has grown very popular in just a few months. Elsewhere, a man tells his lord that if he's concerned, he should just cancel the competition, but the lord declines. Smoking a cigarette, the lord says he knows what he's doing, and he should go, as he still needs to take care of that matter. In front of the shop, the protagonist remarks that he hopes this place has what he's looking for. Sweating, the old man welcomes young Master Zhou and asks how he can help. Replying, the boy says he wants a strong bow. The merchant says he does have a strong bow, but it's heavy and requires at least 300 kilograms of strength to pull and shoot arrows. Showing the bow, he comments that not many people use this type of weapon, and that if Zhu likes it, he can take it as a gift. However, the blue-haired subordinate asks the young master if crossbow wouldn't be more efficient. Testing the weapon, the boy asks that he doesn't think using a bow and arrow is way cooler. He then hits a leaf with the bow. In his mind, he understands that if he wants to train his vision, pulling strength, and precision, nothing's better than a bow. Surprised, his subordinate thinks about how Zhou isn't even a martial artist and wonders how he can now wield this bow. From a distance, a child tells her grandmother she has something in her hair. Excited, Zhao says that's not bad and that this is the feeling he wanted. Then his subordinate suggests they train outside the city. The elderly woman apologizes for startling the child, but she says it's no big deal. The children start laughing and joking, saying a bow grew on their grandmother's head. The merchant grabs one of the children, calling them a brat, and tells them not to run around holding such a dangerous item. However, looking at the arrow, he realizes what it is. In the forest, the protagonist fires his bow and arrow and a fly. He hits it directly and then practices several shots on it. The blue-haired subordinate asks the young master how he can be so precise. Checking the system, Zhao notes he's finally reached level 15 and can now unlock 2 new skills. Among the options are locate weak points, passive precision, double slash, and stab. Thinking carefully, he remembers these 2 skills were useful in the game, but he's unsure how they'll work in reality. He then asks Lance if he knows where to find monsters stronger than these flies. Lance questions what the young master is planning to do. Walking with his arms open, Zhao says he didn't expect to find such a bamboo forest and admires the incredible scenery. Lance suggests they only take a look and then head back. As they walk, Zhu notices something strange. A creature resembling a giant wild boar with porcupine features charges toward him. Jumping, Zhu barely dodges in time. It's the sword wild boar. Spreading his arms, Lance yells for the young master to flee. But Zhu tells him not to interfere and to get out of his way and hide. Hearing this, Lance looks confused. Suddenly, the young master runs forward, shouting for Lance to hurry. He then uses the double slash skill. Striking the monster with precision, he follows up with stab. This combination quickly depletes the boar's HP to 0. The monster collapses to the ground without much trouble. Smiling, Zhu thinks these 2 skills are just as useful in real life. In shock, Lance asks if Zhao is truly a non-practitioner of martial arts. Smiling, Zhao says he'll leave the body to his subordinate. Later at dinner, the giant wild boar sits on the table. Surprised, his father remarks that first it was the gray shadow snake, and now it's the sword wild boar. He doesn't know whether to praise or scold Zhu. As they eat, Zhao suggests that he could give him some crystals or money. He explains that he wants to bet this month on tomorrow's competition, and asks if that's possible. At the training area entrance, a man in a cap asks why the captain is training so intensely. His companion wonders if it's worth pushing so hard for a battle against someone like that. Inside the training area, the blonde is working himself to exhaustion. Breathless, he declares that he'll definitely win and that this isn't just a battle. As a third-ranking martial artist, he demonstrates immense power, saying Zhao Zhang must see the difference between a genius and trash. Time passes, and finally, the day of the hunt arrives. The young master and the blonde stand near each other. On one side, a group of people cheers for Captain Li, saying he's amazing and that everyone has bet on him. On the other side, many people and children cheer for Zhu, saying that Brother Zhang will win. Smiling, the blonde remarks to the young master that his fans are special. Approaching a child, Zhou asks if she bet on him. Tearfully, the child said she has no money. Handing her a white crystal, he tells her to take it and bet on his victory. Irritated, Ian asks how you can let children gamble like that. Zhao responds that Ian shouldn't worry because this battle isn't a game. He's betting on something he will undoubtedly win. Frustrated, Ian retorts that Zhu is indeed confident. Extending his hand to Captain Yan, Zhu wishes him good luck. The blonde, however, turns his back and tells Zhu to save that luck for himself. At that exact moment, each contestant enters a vehicle. The organizer announces that in this competition, both sides agree to use any method to hunt monsters, with victory determined by the total value of the monsters. The competition is set to begin. Despite everything, the protagonist remains calm and composed. At this moment, the cars start moving. Yan declares that Zhao Zhang is as good as dead. He thinks that a newcomer to martial arts is competing against a rank 3 martial artist, and the cost of this lesson will be steep. From atop the massive wall, a subordinate asks the Lord if he really isn't going to send anyone to protect the young master. The Lord replies that it's unnecessary. He can't protect Zhu forever. He needs to grow up on his own. Back in a ruined area filled with zombies, a kind of radio starts buzzing. Over the line, someone says this is a sudden mission and the target must be killed, with the reward being the green crystal. An old man opens his notebook and sees the target, Zhao Zhang. Smiling, the man says that for the sake of the green crystal, he'll treat this as a leisurely stroll. This is Tang Shen, a rank 5 martial artist. Elsewhere, someone is leaping from building to building, performing a kind of parkour. It's a woman entering the area. In front of a door, she notifies her master that the mission has been posted. The man remarks that the combination of trash and a pure green crystal doesn't make this a profitable venture. He'll only do it once since it's enough to irritate a certain person and make his plan succeed. This way, they'll recover the profit many times over. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Joe opens a map and comments that Joe's map is incredibly detailed. On the map, he spots the location of a rank 3 shadow wolf and notes that he better be cautious. Getting out of the jeep, he says he'll warm up by hunting a few shadow wolves first. He soon spots them eating and resting. However, they quickly notice an enemy nearby. The hero lands in front of the wolves, which are impressively large. A small rabbit watches from its burrow as the massacre unfolds. The young master manages to defeat all the giant shadow wolves. Exhausted, he remarks that it seems the number of wolves he can handle at once is 5. Checking his stats, he notices he's reached level 16, making his ability slightly stronger against a rank 3 martial artist. However, he begins to feel intense chest pain. He retrieves a small healing potion and wonders if the game's HP healing potion is actually effective here. With a knife, he opens it. Sniffing it, he questions why it smells like disinfectant. He then applies the liquid to his wound. Realizing it has no effect, he wonders if he's supposed to drink it instead. Staring at the potion, he questions whether this thing could actually be a drink. With no other choice, he begins sipping it slowly. Instantly, his wound starts to heal. His body rapidly recovers. Touching himself, he realizes the potion is incredibly effective and heals at an extraordinary speed. He concludes that a powerful medicine has been introduced into this world. Meanwhile, around the forest, Yu asks his brother if he placed any bets for today's match. Another man responds that it's unnecessary to gamble. Why risk the money they work so hard to earn? A rank 3 martial artist woman tells him to be quiet because someone is approaching. The old man is walking through the forest. Surprised, he remarks that he's finally found living humans. The woman warns him not to come any closer, but the old man says there's no need to be so cautious. He's just a lost person. Showing a picture of the protagonist, he asks if they've seen this guy today. Hugh questions if that isn't Zheng, saying they saw him earlier. His companion quickly tells him to stay quiet. Smiling, the old man says that's great news. Quickly, he rushes forward, declaring that this means you won't kill the wrong person. He lands a direct blow on the woman. Another man shouts that they must run and escape. However, the red-haired man is also struck down with precision. The old man tells him not to feel guilty. On the ground, Yu asks why this is happening. Reaching his hand toward the boy's face, the old man replies that it's best to leave no traces, especially human ones, as they could become evidence. With just a flick, he kills the man as well. Elsewhere in the forest, the protagonist sneezes, remarking that even with his strong physique, he might be catching a cold. Among the wolves, he spots a white wolf. He comments that this one seems to be the boss, the Wolf King. However, with his junk equipment, he won't be able to defeat it. He realizes that even though it's only early afternoon, if he doesn't find a valuable target, he'll lose the hunt. Hearing a noise, he looks to the side and wonders if there's someone there. It seems like a human. Observing closely, he notices his HP bar is filled with killing intent and questions if the person is there for him. The man looks up and smiles maniacally, but quickly realizes the boy isn't there, wondering if he let him slip away without sensing his intent. Hiding behind a tree, the protagonist sweats nervously, understanding that this man is extremely powerful. Analyzing the situation, Zhao concludes that the man is clearly here to kill him. He wonders why these people are so eager for his death. Determined, he affirms that he needs to act decisively. While walking through the forest, the old man notices something glowing above. The protagonist charges toward his enemy with full force. The man quickly raises his sword in defense. Zhao is determined to kill him and strikes with his knife, but the attack is blocked. Nervously, the old man, now injured on his face, acknowledges that the boy is fast. The two engage in a close-range battle with their blades. Zhao realizes he can't endure these aggressive attacks and decides to use his skills. Raising his knife, he activates double slash. The old man senses he's in trouble. After the strike, he retreats quickly. Noticing the cut on his shoulder, the old man can't believe it. He had blocked that attack earlier. Frustrated, Joe sees that he barely reduced the man's HP. The old man, whose name is Tang Lai, can't see Zhao's stats and questions how that's possible. Irritated, he realizes that Zhu isn't an apprentice martial artist or trash as he was told. He accuses the boy of being far stronger than the information suggested, wondering if Zhou really is just a warrior apprentice since he almost killed him. Zhou asks if Yang sent him to kill him. Infusing energy into his sword, Tang Lai admits that the boy is stronger than expected, but asserts that someone about to die doesn't need to know so much. Cutting off the idle talk, Tang Lai charges at Zhou. Swinging his energy-infused sword, he cleaves the tree in half. Zhao manages to dodge, but understands that he can't fight this man head-on. He hides. Tang Lai remarks that Zhou's hiding skills are good, but says he won't escape forever. Carefully observing, Zhao uses his weak point analysis skill to locate Tang Lai's vulnerabilities. He fires a shot at the old man but misses. Tang Lai turns toward the source of the shot and attacks. With immense power, he cuts another tree in half, but Zhao escapes once again. Tang Lai mutters that Zhao doesn't understand. Someone with a 6th physique level can dodge bullets with their eyes closed. From atop a tree, Zhao hears a growl. He thinks this might be a sign of help. Jumping from the branch, he begins shooting at Tang Lai. The old man mocks him, asking if he's so scared of dying that he's firing so recklessly. As Zhu keeps firing, Tang Lai declares that Zhao won't escape and should give up. However, Zhou suddenly runs deeper into the forest. Then, without hesitation, he leaps off a cliff. Watching from above, Tang Lai says this isn't a farewell. He also jumps. Mid-air, preparing his attack, Tang Lai notices several wolves below. He sees Zhu fighting them using double slash and stab skills. Among the chaos, Tang Lai shouts angrily, accusing Zhou of trying to drag him into a death trap. One of the wolves bites Tang Lai's foot. Exuding intense energy from his body, Tang Lai declares that they will see who dies first. Near all the wolves, the white wolf, the wolf king, opens its eyes. Irritated, it begins to rise. Perched on a rock, the white wolf howls loudly, commanding the attention of all the black wolves. It charges toward the two, its presence overwhelmingly imposing. All the black wolves pause and stare at the white wolf. Zheng assesses the situation, thinking that this side of the pack has fewer shadow wolves, making it a potential escape route. Tang Lai remarks that Zhou is courting death, and for him, escaping this place isn't particularly hard. With a grenade in hand, Zhu smiles and asks if Tang Lai wants the difficulty increased. He throws several grenades to the ground. Tang Lai protects himself using his magic, irritated by the boy's antics. When the smoke clears, Tang Lai realizes that Zhao has vanished. At that moment, the white wolf's paw looms above Tang Lai. It tries to crush him with all its might, but the old man narrowly escapes. The boss wolf roars ferociously. Tang Lai lies on the ground, injured, surrounded by wolves, while Zheng observes from atop a tree. Smiling, Zhu declares that he has set the stage for them to enjoy. Furious, Tang Lai curses at him. Time passes. Sitting on a tree branch, Zheng notes that everything seems to have ended. He no longer hears any sounds. Tang Lai is still standing, battling the Supreme Wolf. However, it appears he has lost consciousness as the wolf tears into his flesh. Amazed, Zheng remarks on the sheer strength of a rank 5 martial artist who managed to massacre an entire wolf pack. Approaching Tang Lai's body on the ground, Zheng says he's lucky to have met him. He picks up a pouch of crystals near the body. Opening the pouch, he finds various types of crystals and comments on how wealthy Tang Lai must have been. He notices another device and wonders what it might be. Glancing to the side, he sees that the white wolf is still alive. Sending one final blow its way, Zheng says he'll end its suffering. Meanwhile, back at the competition area, the redhead asks who hasn't returned yet, and the bald man inquires about his bet. The redhead confirms he bet on Captain Yuan, noting that while the odds are low, it's a safe bet. The bald man tells another that Yuan has a solid chance of winning, though the results haven't been announced yet. Su asks if there's a problem with the young master. Lan assures her that he trusts Zhou's abilities. Zhao's father remains silently observant. Suddenly, a car arrives. Captain Yuan steps out, waving to everyone. One of the men asks if Yuan is okay. Yuan responds that he brought some trash for them and jokes that it was as easy as child's play. He suggests they review the hump results but advises waiting for Zheng to return before announcing the winner. At that moment, everyone notices that Master Zhao has arrived. Inside the car, Zheng thinks he barely made it in time and that if it weren't for this vehicle, everything would have gone smoothly. Standing face to face, the blonde remarks that Zhao returned quickly and jokes that he thought Zhou might take a nap. Zheng replies that Yuan can rest after the results are announced. Raising his arms, Zheng suggests they calculate the monsters one by one. Yuan questions whether Zhao wants to humiliate himself. Smiling, Zhao says he's fine with anything. The blonde laughs, proposing they calculate Yuan's catch first and save the best for last, sarcastically warning Zhao to see how long his smile lasts. With the plan set, the organizers begin evaluating Captain Yuan's hunt. They remove the covering from the truck bed, revealing Yuan's catch. Everyone is impressed by the sight. The blonde taunts Zhang, asking who he thinks will win the battle. The evaluators begin tallying Yuan's haul. One of them asks if they're seeing things, while another questions if Yuan really hunted all of this. They calculate the value of the rank 2 sword boar. However, the blonde suggests that they verify whether the monsters have star crystals, as that should be added to their value. He argues that a rank 3 monster isn't just any ordinary creature. One of the event organizers becomes nervous, noting that this rule wasn't established beforehand. Zhang agrees calmly, stating he has no objections but asks them to calculate quickly since he still needs a bath. One of the men finds a medium-grade white crystal within the boar's body, concluding that the value of the crystal, combined with the boar's worth, totals that of a high-grade white crystal. In the background, the hero comments that his luck is very good, to which the blonde retorts that he doesn't need luck. Only weaklings like Zhu rely on it. The blonde scoffs, saying it's obvious, and questions why Zhao doesn't just give away the extra star crystals. Smiling, Zhou replies that it's fine and thanks him. Yan internally scoffs, thinking that Zhao has no shame. When you hand him the rope, he ties it around his own neck, showing no pride whatsoever. Yan muses. Smirking, he declares that the sword boar is just a small appetizer and now it's time for the main event. One of the evaluators suddenly realizes that the cargo contains rank 3 forest spiders, leaving everyone shocked and nervous. An older man comments that Zhu is reckless, since even rank 4 fighters avoid dealing with such creatures. The tally reveals that there are 3 forest spiders, each worth a high-grade white crystal, making the total value equivalent to 3 high-grade white crystals. Upon hearing this, everyone is stunned. Quickly, celebrations break out, and one of the more excitable women shouts that she wants to have a child with Zhu. His supporters begin to cry, saying they knew they would have won if they had bet on him. As he is cheered on, the blonde scoffs and tells Zhu to face reality, claiming this is the difference between trash and a genius. Or Zhu quips that it seems the blonde knows he's trash and Yan is a genius because he's so intelligent. The blonde turns, irritated, saying Zhu only knows how to talk and that actions speak louder than words. Standing up, Zhu agrees and says he'll prove who the real trash is. He admits he didn't have much time, so he couldn't hunt anything of great value. At that moment, he removes the covering from his truck bed, revealing his haul. He casually states that he only caught a shadow wolf, leaving everyone shocked. On top of the truck lies the white shadow wolf, the Wolf King. The blonde is in disbelief, asking if it's truly the Shadow Wolf King. Zhao's father wonders if it's the rank 4 leader of the Shadow Wolves, while Su comments that the young master is now hunting monsters of that rank. One of the evaluators calculates the value, stating that this creature is equivalent to a low-grade blue crystal. Another notes that a low-grade blue crystal equals 100 high-grade white crystals. A child on an old man's shoulders cheers, proclaiming that Brother Zheng has won. The crowd celebrates, declaring his victory as overwhelming. The blonde, however, refuses to believe it, saying it's impossible, and claiming even a rank 5 martial artist wouldn't provoke the Shadow Wolf King. Zhao smiles and credits Yan, saying that without him, this wouldn't have been possible. He mockingly adds that Yan even hired a rank 5 martial artist to kill him, which proves how rich Yan must be. Shocked, Yan accuses Zhou of slander, claiming he's trying to incriminate him on top of everything else. Zhao's father intervenes, ordering Yan to shut up and calling him a foolish son. He promises to teach his son a lesson for his envy and inability to handle losing. He now observes Yan, remarking that he's a miserable man and definitely not a good person. Yan's father also steps in, trying to calm the situation, saying Manager Yang is being too harsh, and that this was just a childish spat. He downplays Zhou's strength, attributing his success to luck, but Yang counters that luck is also a kind of strength. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a woman is slammed into a wall. An old man questions why trash like Zhu is still alive and what happened to the Shadow Wolf King. He curses the assassination organizations, calling them useless, and declares that he can't wait any longer. It's time to move on to Plan B. Back at home, Zhu and his family enjoy food and drinks together. After taking a sip, Zhao remarks that the drink is very sour. His father laughs, saying it's his first time drinking. Zhu mutters that he'd rather eat meat and internally reflects that no matter what world he's in, he can't tolerate beer or wine. Congratulating him, his father praises Zhao for winning the bet and says he's finally grown up. Hearing this, Zhao feels happy. However, as he starts to speak, he hesitates. He realizes he can't yet prove who the real assassin was and decides it's better not to create unnecessary trouble. His father advises him not to take Yang's accusations of cheating seriously, adding that Yang may be strong, but is overly proud. He assures Zhao that his uncle will teach Yang a lesson soon. After eating, the protagonist heads to his room. Sitting on his bed, he begins examining the old man's device. As he stares at it, he wonders if it could be some kind of bomb. He tosses it on the floor to see, but then mutters that he might be overthinking. There's no way it's a bomb. Looking closer, he speculates if it's some type of transmitter. Stu enters the room, calling for the young master and informing him that the betting payouts have been delivered. Embarrassed, she asks where he wants her to place them. Awkwardly, Zhang tells her to leave them right there. He takes the bag from her hands. She insists that handling such matters is her duty as a housekeeper, but Zhang interrupts, saying that to him she's just a regular girl and doesn't need to be confined to the status of a servant. His father enters the room, lightening the mood between the two, and asks his son if he's busy. Smiling, Zhang replies that he's not and is free at the moment. His father says that with all the attention on him lately, he should start learning how to manage society. Grinning, Zhang replies that he doesn't want to become a manager but needs his father's help with something. He asks if his father can help him acquire better equipment. Meanwhile, in another home, a boy comments that the Shadow Wolf King's wounds were probably caused by someone else. Looking at his father, he asks if he heard what he just said. The man slams the table hard and declares that they'll set the matter aside for now. However, his son insists on continuing, saying it's a blow to his reputation. Exuding anger, the man replies that he's well aware of that and orders his son to leave immediately. Storming out of the room, the father mutters that Zhang can't act, however, he wants just because his father owns the city and vows to get revenge soon. Meanwhile, on the massive wall, Zhang lands another headshot on a zombie. He's thrilled because he's finally reached level 20. He notes that with better equipment, he can level up much faster. At this level, he unlocks a new skill. However, a massive monster appears, grabbing his attention. It looks like a giant zombie wreaking havoc everywhere. Using binoculars, he observes how massive the creature is. Excited, he realizes it's a perfect opponent. A strange drone begins hovering above a building, seemingly connected to some equipment. The monster becomes increasingly agitated. A man on a rooftop radios in, reporting that the final stage of the mission has been completed and that the creature has been activated. From his vantage point on a building, Zhang watches the monster. Preparing to attack, he analyzes its weak points. He shoots an arrow into its head, but the creature grabs it. Pulling the arrow out of its head, the monster becomes even angrier. Zhang is surprised, realizing it must be an elite zombie since it didn't lose any HP from a headshot. The monster grabs a nearby object and smashes it into the ground, growing even more furious. Frustrated, Zhang remarks on how aggressive the zombie is. The monster starts breaking the ground for no apparent reason. Leaping from above, Zhang uses his attack leap skill, striking the zombie's nape like a scene from Attack on Titan. He quickly jumps again to strike a second blow. Using his stab skill this time, he manages to remove a significant chunk of the zombie's HP. The monster grows even angrier, prompting Zhang to retreat. Elsewhere in the city filled with zombies, a man with a sword sits calmly, analyzing the situation. He notes that the noise level is low, but wonders why there's so much movement. He adds that the more chaotic things become, the more interesting it will be. Back to Zhang, he finally brings the giant zombie to the ground. After defeating it, he realizes it dropped the blue crystal, concluding that today's hunt was very successful. Sometime later, Zhang rides his motorcycle to a massive wall. One of the guards stops him, asking who he is. Realizing it's the young master, the guard quickly greets him. Zhang asks what's going on and why they've set up a defense today. Nervously, the guard explains that they're unsure but receive reports that the venomous zombies from the nearby city have become strangely aggressive. Curious, Zhang asks about the venomous zombies and notes that it's no surprise there are more zombies appearing now than in the past. After passing through the defense, he enters the house, calling for his father. He finds several men gathered. His father, noticing him, remarks that Zhang arrived just in time and tells him to come closer and listen. Then the boy welcomes all the uncles. Loud, he says they have confirmed that a large number of venomous zombies are heading toward the city. He adds that they will likely reach the city by the afternoon, and among them is also a gigantic zombie. One of the men says that with that bastard, defending against the aggression will be difficult. He suggests that, in his opinion, they should launch an attack before the zombies reach the city. Another man agrees, saying that in 15 days they will need to go out searching for food, and as a manager, he doesn't want to return to the city to fight over a lack of supplies. The man asks if the news has spread, and Lao Shu responds not to worry, because even if people suspect something is wrong. Hearing this response, the man sighs. Then he shouts for people to be brought to leave the city tomorrow. He declares that Lao Yan and Lao Shu will take the city's position, and that when they get close, Zhang and his son will replace that position, and that his words are as good as theirs. Very nervous, the boy asks if he is talking about him. Sometime later, they are both gathered in a room. The man tells his son that he will have to leave for a while and that his son will have to manage the city. The boy responds that he doesn't think it's as simple as they believe and suggests they should reconsider. The man tells his son that he is a level 5 martial artist and that they will just push the zombies away, so there will be no danger. As he leaves, the boy says that if so, he must promise to return safely. After the boy leaves, his father begins looking at his picture, smiling, saying Zhang has grown a lot. He adds that he needs to bless him and let him have a good life. A few days pass. The man calls for Captain Shu, saying that the patrol team has returned. One of them calls for Master Zhou, saying that something has happened to the Lord or his father. Upon hearing this, the boy is shocked. Then, sometime later, the car enters the wall. With crossed arms, the hero asks Lan if he thinks something bad happened to his father. The master replies that he doesn't know, but acknowledges that this person is definitely from the patrol team. Thoughtfully, the hero notes that along the entire way, they saw no signs of battles with venomous zombies. Inside the car, they begin moving deeper into the abandoned city. The boy asks his brother where they are going. His brother responds, telling him to hold on. They're almost there. In his mind, the boy wonders if his health bar has turned red and suspects this is a trap. Then they approach a group of people. They stop the car right in front of them. The man with a scar on his face says they have finally arrived and that they are late. Another, holding his stomach, tells them to start working. Smiling, the driver looks back and tells young Master Zook that he cannot leave now. Lan questions what he is planning to do. At that moment, a blonde man appears, saying, of course, it must be exactly what they think they're going to do. Smiling maniacally, he tells them to die now. The man with blue hair asks Leia how he dares to betray the Lord. Kicking hard, Leia replies that he is just a little dog and asks who gave him the right to speak. Then the hero catches his subordinate, stopping him from falling. With a serious expression, he asks if this zombie outbreak was caused by them. Lighting a cigarette, the blonde man says it's fine to admit it since they will die here today. He explains that because his father was too smart, they had to use various tricks and efforts to lure him out of the city. Changing his expression, the boy asks what he means by that. As he approaches, the blonde man says of course they're going to kill him. He questions whether he thinks he's been Lord for too many years and says it's time to change the identity of the Lord. Sitting on the ground and observing, Lan comments that even the weakest among them is a rank 2 martial artist. He then tells the young master that he will distract them, so the master has a chance to escape. In the background, another man asks if they think they're deaf, adding that neither of them will leave here alive. Jiangmin says he's right. Approaching the man with a blade, he declares that no one here will leave alive and slashes him across the neck. Quickly, he begins attacking everyone around him, reducing their health to 0. Furious, the men say he used a sneak attack and call it a disgrace, and demand that they kill him now. However, the protagonist is very quick and manages to eliminate them one by one without leaving any trace. Seeing all of this, the blonde begins to tear up and becomes very worried. Another man comments that he's not even a martial artist and asks how he became so strong. After eliminating him as well, the protagonist asks who said one needs to be a martial artist to kill someone. Someone attempts to hit him, but the hero manages to dodge the bullet. The attacker claims that he must have taken some kind of drug and tells his allies to hold him for a while because the effect of the drugs will wear off and he will die. Heading toward the blonde man with a murderous intent, the protagonist easily dodges all the bullets. When he reaches him, he kicks him in the face. The blonde can't believe it and says he is a rank 3 martial artist. With a maniacal smile, the hero asks if his power is solely based on his rank and tells him he's very foolish. Angrily, the blonde says that the protagonist can't kill him because his father has already taken control of the city, and if he dies, his father will also die. Explaining, the hero tells him he is too naive and that this isn't enough, and asks where they've taken his father. Pointing to the side, the blonde explains that he is in the eastern part. The protagonist turns his head to verify the information. In a cowardly attack, Ian lunges at him with a knife while he's distracted, but the protagonist uses the attack jump skill. He manages to dodge and lands a fatal blow to Ian's head. As Ian falls to the ground, bleeding, he says he will wait for them in hell. The blue-bearded man becomes very worried and asks the young master what they should do now. He responds that it's obvious. They need to kill the traitors and save his father. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, numerous zombies roam the streets. Their numbers seem to grow larger and larger. From a distance, the protagonist's father observes them. He begins analyzing the movement of these venomous zombies. Suddenly, someone appears behind him to attack. The man narrowly avoids the attack but ends up being struck. Yu remarks that he's stronger than expected and that even his stealthy attack wasn't enough. The man asks his subordinate if he was betraying him. Smiling, the bald man says he's not the only one who betrayed him. Then several men appear, and one of them tells him not to waste time talking. Furious, Hong questions if they're trash or how they think they could kill him. The bald man then asks what it would be like if he joined them. Using his abilities, he declares that they're gods now. Leaping, Hong dodges the attacks. At this moment, several of his traders begin shooting at the Lord. He manages to create some sort of shield to defend himself. This surprises the traders greatly. However, the bald man appears behind him, saying he can't dodge this one. He then strikes a blade toward Hong's shoulder. Fallen near a tree, they ask why people trusted him. The priest then questions how much trust is worth in this world. He states that without power and authority, people will always be dogs. Smiling, Hong asks if they desire his death so badly. Staring him down, the bald man starts to become scared. Hong appears in front of him, imbuing some kind of magic into his sword. He challenges them to come and see if they can really defeat him. He then strikes the red-haired man with full force, who barely manages to block the attack. Shouting, the red-haired man calls for everyone help now. Hong is imbued with immense energy and is filled with rage. Meanwhile, the protagonist and his subordinates are heading toward his father. He thinks that even though he's just the city lord, it's better that he doesn't die so easily. Stopping the car, he tells the young master that the city lord and the rebels must be ahead. Observing the situation, the protagonist questions why there are several empty health bars and wonders if all the guards here have been killed. One of the guards appears and tells the car to stop right there. Awkwardly, he realizes it's young Master Zhou and says that the Lord and others are fighting the venomous zombies, then asks if they need him to escort them. With a chilling tone, the protagonist responds that it might be necessary and questions why the guard hasn't sent others to certain areas instead. He then moves toward the guard to attack him, declaring that traitors can go straight to hell. At the same time, his father is surrounded by the traitors. He declares that even if he dies, he will only die after killing them all. One of the men asks what he thinks he is and says he should look at his body and stop being so arrogant. In the background, the father, already injured, tells him to stop wasting time with him. Throwing a few more weapons in his direction, he insists they finish this quickly. Swiftly, Hong manages to block the attack. However, one of the objects cuts his hand. Seeing this, the traitors realize this is their chance. They rush toward the Lord and attack with all their might. Without hesitation, the bald man tells him to die right now. He strikes with a knife with all his strength. However, Hong reveals a hidden blade. Noticing this, the red-haired man begins to grow fearful and retreats. All of them, now terrified, step back. The manager tells Yu that he knows what he's thinking, and that if he dies, everything in the city will spiral into chaos. Smiling, the man tells him to hold on because he must not die before the Lord. After this, he quickly charges at his superior. Preparing for an attack, he tells Hong this is goodbye and that he will soon die. The blade moves closer to his head as the Lord appears to have given up entirely. Suddenly, an arrow flies in their direction. It strikes the traitor's sword with full force, leaving him bewildered. All the traitors turn to see what happened. Atop a building stands a young master with his bow and arrow. With a murderous gaze, he questions if they think they can kill him. One of the traitors is completely shocked and surprised. Nervously, he asks how trash like him can block their attack. At this, the Lord begins to laugh uncontrollably. Smiling, he says people always called his son trash, but from his perspective, the real trash are these traitors. He then asks Zhang to help him deal with Yuan so they can quickly kill these two pieces of garbage. Smiling, the boy tells him to relax. He throws an HP potion toward him, telling him to drink it. Zhang heads toward the bald man, explaining that he just taught his son a lesson, and now it's his turn. The red-haired man asks what he did to his son. Zhang says he's bold enough to ask after his betrayal is exposed. Desperate, the man hurls more of those magical discs, yelling for Zhang to die. Dodging effortlessly, the young master remarks that the man is too weak to be using long-range attacks. Moving toward him, Zhang uses the double slash skill. The bald man calls for he and Yang, pleading for their help immediately. He then charges at the hero, who easily dodges his attack. Zhang uses the backstab ability, striking the man hard and draining much of his HP. Panicking, the man begins striking wildly at the air. He soon realizes the protagonist is no longer there. Looking up, he sees Zhang descending. Using the attack jump skill, Zhang says this is farewell to the traitor. Meanwhile, several people are at the wall. Curiously, an old man asks why they're being ordered to stay inside the city. The guard responds that he heard there will be a monster horde and that they must remain in the city for 2 days. The uncle tells them to stay calm, pay attention, and remember the Lord and the others are fighting outside the city to protect them. However, he adds that he just hopes the Lord and the others don't run into trouble and stay safe. Meanwhile, at the hero's home, Sue stands by the window, observing something. She seems deeply troubled by something. She opens her hand and looks at her keys. Quickly, she recalls a conversation with the Lord. The man comments that she has been looking after his son for the past few years as if he were her younger brother, and that he's even begun to see her as his own daughter. He tells her that if the city collapses this time and nothing remains, she must take care of his son for him. He reassures her not to worry too much, as this will not be his end. Suddenly, the old man starts smiling and says this isn't his end because he's not ready to die yet. On the battlefield, the traitor merely watches in shock. Then he hears his companion groaning in pain and looks to the side. In this moment of distraction, the Lord approaches with a maniacal smile. Realizing he's about to be attacked, the traitor begins to panic. Hong, wielding his sword, is highly focused, ready to strike the traitor with full force. He lands a precise blow to the traitor's chest. The traitor is thrown far away. The last thing he sees is the image of his lord staring at him. Hong declares that if the traitor desires revenge, he should wait for him in hell. After the attack, the traitor falls to the ground with the device. At the same time, a traitor wearing glasses also collapses. Looking at the assassin, Zhang says all the accomplices have been dealt with, and now it's time for the main dish. Terrified, the red-haired man says Zhang can't kill him because if he dies, the entire city will die with him. In the background, someone pleads for the man. Hong states that he already had some suspicions about you being the traitor, but he never expected them to gamble with the lives of all the city's people. Frightened, the old man says he invested too much credit and effort to build this city and questions why he should let Zheng's son cut off his head. Smiling, he says that as soon as he presses this button, all the city's food supplies will explode and turn to ashes. Hong asks Zheng where his son Yan is. The boy replies that Yan is in a very safe place, but if the old man decides to press that thing, he will make all the traitors live their lives wishing for death. Another man appears, telling Manager Yang that it's unusual for him to exist like this. Seeing this, the red-haired man becomes utterly terrified. From atop a tree, a gray-haired man speaks, saying that as a gift for hiring him, he will provide this information for free. He explains that he will offer the glory of the dark shadow as his guarantee. He then reveals that Yan is already dead, leaving the man furious and ready to press the button. However, an arrow flies toward him, stopping him from doing so. The arrow's owner remarks that he will send the man to see his son right now, but the protagonist looks to the side, noticing some movement. Quickly, he dodges and steps back. Then, looking around, he notices something strange. Feeling nervous and terrified, he sees Lu Yongchan, a mercenary martial artist, who declares that killing his client in front of him violates the rules. He claims that his prey trembles in fear. The gray-haired man says that perhaps today he will need to trouble them a little to keep them here. Desperate, the red-haired man shouts for him to kill them, promising 4 times the money he paid before. Smiling, the mercenary says his son is already dead and that his only hope now is himself. He comments that draining all of his money and savings seems a bit excessive. The blue-haired subordinate calls out to the young master, saying he's dealt with the subordinates. Zheng tells him not to come over because he's facing the martial artist. Hearing this, the blue-haired man is completely shocked by the rank of this mercenary. Zheng's father says that while he holds off the gray-haired man, they should take the chance to escape. However, the boy questions whether his father really thinks he can handle a rank 6 martial artist in his current state. Seeing the situation, Lan also feels hesitant but decides to flee since there's little he can do. However, the mercenary quickly bypasses the two and heads toward the escapee. Asking who said he could just run away, the mercenary tells him to die right now. But Zheng appears, blocking the attack, saying that the mercenary is just a rank 6 martial artist and shouldn't think so highly of himself. After the block, the two step back. The mercenary asks if Zheng thinks that just because he killed the trash Tang Lai, he can be this strong and arrogant. While scratching his ear, the mercenary suddenly feels a strike on his shoulder. It questions when Zheng attacked as he didn't see anything, and then the Lord appears behind him. The mercenary quickly dodges the sword strike. Blocking another attack, he says that this time the prey is very troublesome, and he's sure he took a bad job. Meanwhile, someone arrives driving a white Jeep. This wool-coated driver tells the young master and the Lord to get in the car immediately. Zheng picks up his father and runs toward the car. From the back of the vehicle, he tells his subordinate to hurry. As the car speeds away, he throws 2 grenades in the mercenary's direction. Even seeing the grenades heading toward him, the mercenary's expression doesn't change. Using his skill, he slices the grenades in half. A massive explosion ensues. However, it buys enough time for the 3 to escape. Sitting on the ground, the mercenary keeps grumbling, saying that overall, they're all just a bunch of trash. Then he begins to smile, ready to press the button. Looking back, the mercenary notices what the man's about to do. Rushing toward him, the mercenary drives his sword into the man's chest. He tells him to know his place and that he doesn't mind sending him to his son. Hearing this, the man seems to fall into a catatonic state. However, he begins laughing hysterically while crying, descending into complete madness. Without a second thought, he presses the button. In just a few seconds, the traitor collapses to the ground with a chest wound. Elsewhere in a city, a loud explosion is heard. The warrior's guard falls to his knees, crying as he sees the entire food storage consumed by flames. One of the guards notices the sounds of explosions coming from inside the city. Another runs toward leader Shu to inform him that the food storage has exploded and is now on fire. The man is utterly shocked by the news and starts speculating about Manager Yang and the Lord. As he looks to the side, one of his subordinates also calls out to leader Shu, reporting on the zombie horde. He warns that the entire horde is now here. Quickly, they begin shooting at the zombies and attacking them with all they've got. Firing a machine gun, the man shouts for all the citizens to retreat immediately and urges everyone to hold the line even if it costs their lives. Then he notices one of his subordinates being attacked and calling for help. The man tries to protect himself but is overwhelmed by the number of zombies. As he looks to the side, he notices something. Another zombie charges at him, attacking simultaneously. He quickly tries to shield himself with his arm. However, someone shoots the zombie in the head, killing it instantly. It's the protagonist who has arrived with his father. Uncle Shu is overjoyed to see that the Lord and the young master have returned. One of his subordinates reports that all the civilians have entered the city. The leader orders everyone to retreat and defend the city, closing the gates. Atop the wall, the Lord states that he never imagined all of this was orchestrated by Yang. Shu reports that the food storage has been bombed and that martial artists are either dead or injured. The Lord explains that even with more martial artists, 5 Yangs wouldn't be able to stop this. Jin points out that the first thing they need to do is evacuate the civilians and then return after the zombie wave subsides. Smiling, his father remarks that the boy already thinks like a manager, leaving Zhang confused. Shu interrupts, suggesting the Lord drink some water first. The man agrees, commenting that his son is right. Smiling, the boy says he will now assist with preparations for the evacuation. However, he suddenly feels dizzy. It seems he has no energy left. His father notes that without food resources, the city has too many civilians to evacuate. Su then questions the Lord if this is truly the right course of action. Laughing, the man responds that as the city's lord, this is his first and only time being stubborn. He asks Sir to take care of his son on his behalf. Inside a helicopter, a boy wakes up. As he stands, he asks Lan and Su why he's in a helicopter. Crying, his subordinate explains that the Lord chose to stay behind. Standing up, Zhang walks to the door. From above, he begins searching for his father. The Lord speaks with Lao Shu, saying he needs to survive. Shu responds by telling him to stop joking. He states that since becoming the leader of the city's protection team, his life no longer belongs to him. The martial artists who wish to leave must protect those who lack combat abilities and evacuate to the back of the mountain. Many brothers will stay behind. The man tells Hong to follow him and fight to the bitter end in this infernal place. In his mind, Hong thinks of his son, who, despite being despised and doubted by others, he has always believed in. Heading into battle against the zombies, he comments that he believes his son will one day become the brightest star in this world. The helicopter continues circling the area. The protagonist sits with his head in his hands, unable to believe what's happening, and Lan calls out to the young master. Lan says he understands his feelings, but points out that this isn't the time for such thoughts. The Lord did this to protect everyone. Breaking the silence, the hero begins to speak. Crying, he questions if they are like deserters in this moment. He says neither his father nor the others should have met such an end. If only he had uncovered Yang's schemes sooner, the city wouldn't be in this state. Leia then tells the young master that the Lord once said that in this chaotic world, seeing another day is a blessing and a gift from God. He continues, saying that no one can predict their fate tomorrow, and this kind of tragedy is not Zhang's fault at all. Lan concludes by saying that Zhang must continue living for those who sacrifice themselves, as this is the greatest comfort he can offer them. Lan comforts Zhang, saying the leadership is correct and that they must keep living. Suddenly, the helicopter starts to experience turbulence. A giant creature grabs it and breaks a window. It appears to be a massive bird trying to bring the aircraft down. Looking around, Lan informs Zhang that they are under attack by monsters. Several enormous creatures are surrounding the helicopter. Determined, Lan declares that he will steer them to safety. However, Zhang tells him not to do so and orders him to stay and protect Su. The helicopter pilot confirms that this is an order. In midair, facing the monster, Zhang uses his stabbing ability. He lands on one of the creatures and strikes it. Seeing this, his companions join the fray as well. Zhang strikes them again as they attack. Fleeing, he comments that these creatures are incredibly resilient. Suddenly, he hears a growling sound and wonders what it could be. Still in the air, being carried by a helicopter on a rope, he spots something that makes him tense. In front of them is a massive, winged, demonic-looking monster. This is the source of the intense growlet. He decides to turn away and leave. Sir remarks that fortunately the large beast isn't interested in them, while Lan comments that this is his first time seeing such a gigantic creature. Jen comments that he didn't expect Sue's piloting skills to be so good. Embarrassed, she responds that he's exaggerating. Interrupting their conversation, Lan shouts for Zheng to look. Pointing ahead, he asks if that place is a human city. Lan explains to Zheng that he purchased this martial arts map a few years ago. He says that if the map is accurate, this must be the city they saw earlier. Zheng reads the name of the city, Kitten, and remarks that it sounds strong. Desperate, Sue tells Zheng that the earlier battle damaged the helicopter's tail and they need to land somewhere. Zheng replies that it's fine and that flying the helicopter would draw too much attention, so they should land first. After landing, he notes that it's not even 2 p.m., and if his guess is correct, Kitten City is 20 kilometers away, meaning they should reach it by nightfall. Sometime later, the three are walking through the forest. Something rustles in the bushes, startling Sue. Instinctively, Zheng moves to attack with a knife-like weapon. However, he halts his strike upon realizing it's just a large, sharp-nosed rat gnawing on a tree branch. Zheng tells Sue not to be scared, as these types of monsters won't attack humans unless provoked. They both watch the rat devouring the trunk. The hero comments that it's the first time he's seen Sue so frightened and asks if this is her first time outside the city. Sue apologizes, admitting she overreacted a little. Jen remarks that since this place has a small group of beasts, it must not be far from a human settlement. Lan notices a road and suggests that if they follow it, they should reach the city soon. However, he spots a vehicle. Drawing his sword, he notes someone is approaching and moves to protect the others. With a serious expression, Zheng readies his bow and arrow. The two men prepare for battle. The vehicle, carrying several people in the back, stops in front of them. A man with a mohawk and piercings stares at them. Looking past the two boys, he notices the beautiful woman named Sue. With a maniacal grin, he comments that she's not bad at all. Seeing his expression, Zheng, without hesitation, fires arrows that narrowly miss the man's face. However, Zheng was aiming at 3 gray snakes lurking behind them. Inside the car, a man smoking a pipe remarks that the shot was very precise. The hero warns them to leave because the jungle is full of hidden dangers. The Mohawk man, irritated, draws his sword, but another person intervenes, saying they shouldn't cause trouble and have other matters to attend to. With that, the group departs. Frustrated, Lu declares that if the two had wanted to fight, he would have risked his life to kill them all. Sue apologizes, but Zheng reassures her that it wasn't her fault. He tells Lan that they currently can't defeat them and will need to work hard and cultivate. After dirtying herself, Sue asks if her appearance is better now, commenting that it should cause fewer problems. The three of them continue on the road. A strange man and the one with the mohawk ask their boss why he stopped them and if he didn't see that woman. Responding, their leader says that the boy with the bow is not weak and they have tasks to complete, so they shouldn't waste time on this as they are heading to Titan City. Sometime later, in the outskirts of Titan City, a rank 2-deer horse is seen eating some leaves. The boy is impressed by the sight. An old man appears and asks if the young ones need a ride. He explains that traveling through this area is difficult without a horse, and that he offers a friendly price for all of them. The boy says the three of them are heading to Titan City and asks how much the transport will cost. Smiling, the old man thinks that outsiders like sheep ready for slaughter should be easy to trick. However, other people quickly arrive, saying the old man is too expensive and offering faster and cheaper rides on their horses. Irritated, the old man realizes he forgot about these competitors and laments that it seems he won't make good money this time. Still, the old man offers to take all three for a low-rank white crystal price. Inside the carriage, Sue asks if the old man captured the horse himself, but he replies that he's not that capable and bought it from a tamer for a medium-rank blue crystal. Hearing this, the boy becomes curious about the tamers. The man explains that tamers are also martial artists, but they focus on training mutant animals to use in battles or to sell. Noticing that the group is from outside the steppes, he asks if they're coming to seek refuge with relatives. The question makes everyone fall silent. Laughing, the man apologizes, saying he couldn't help himself and shouldn't have asked about personal matters. Sue tells the young master not to be upset and reminds him that the Lord wouldn't want him to feel this way. The boy retorts, asking who said he was upset. He claims he was thinking about how he'll become famous and recognized as a strong martial artist in Titan City. Sometime later, they arrive at the city. Everyone, including the protagonist, is impressed by the sight, swallowing nervously. The old man comments that this is the entrance to Titan City, and Zheng remarks that, as expected of a large city, even entering requires money. They reach the city center in Area 5, which belongs to the outer city. As they walk through the city, Sue searches for an inn. They head to the Happy Blessing Inn, but the place disappoints them. It appears abandoned with broken structures everywhere. Sighing, Sue comments that it's part of the poor area and wonders if there's no decent place left to stay after searching so long. Checking the map, she becomes intrigued and tells Zhang that the name of another inn looks promising. This is the Peterson Hotel, and Lan remarks that it truly looks amazing from the outside. Owen greets them, welcoming them to the hotel and asking if they are looking for a place to stay. The boy jokingly asks if she would believe him if he said he was just there to use the bathtub. Bowen laughs, saying he has a sense of humor and should proceed with the check and formalities. At the reception, she explains that a regular room costs 2 low-rank white crystals per night, shocking everyone. Zhang says they'll stay without hesitation, surprising the other two. Despite the cost, they agree it's worth it since the place isn't run down. In the hotel room, Zhang starts thinking about his father and assures himself they are safe. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. Sue enters Zhang's room asking if she can come in. Zhang tells her to get straight to the point, so she begins to speak. She explains that she calculated their finances and concludes they can only afford to stay there for a week, completely surprising him. The next day, Sue asks why one of the martial artists seems unusually tall. The boy responds that he's breaking out of the scale, which is expected. The blue-haired man scratches his head and says that because of his low rank, even if he wanted to become a mercenary, people would surely reject him. San explains that this place is highly competitive but also rich in resources, so the man says he'll do his best. Zhang understands that while they don't have much money, they still have 1,700 white crystals and some blue crystals in their inventory, but they can't afford to relax. Owen appears, calling the two of them kittens, and asks if there's anything they'd like to know. The hero asks if third-rank martial artists have fallen to such a level that they can only sell information now. The woman replies that he should focus on the city as martial artists here don't hold much value. Getting closer, she explains that she has a reliable source of information, charging just 5 coins and stars for a question, and a map of the monsters around the city costs a white crystal. Luffy complains that the woman is robbing them in broad daylight, but Zen counters that they have no choice, and that spending money on this is better than wandering aimlessly. Standing in front of the Martial Artists Association, Zhang remarks that this is their first step toward establishing themselves in Titan City. Inside the building, they wait in regular line. A woman hands them a document to fill out. The document includes Zhang's gender, age, and rank. The woman then asks him to place his hand on the testing mechanism to confirm his compatibility according to the form he submitted. As he places his hand on the device, Zhang questions the existence of such technology. The device identifies his level, announcing Martial Artist Apprentice. With a disdainful look, the woman declares that from now on, he is an apprentice martial artist of the association and will need to return every 3 months to pay the membership fee. Lem places his hand next and is identified as a second-rank martial artist. The woman congratulates him enthusiastically, handing him a membership card. Later, Lan asks if registering is really worth it. Zhang assures him it is, as it's the fastest way to improve and earn money. Studying the map, Zhang spots a location that looks promising. He tells them they can take different missions, but his subordinate insists on protecting him. Sai and Zhang points out that they've been by his side all this time and asks if he really thinks he needs protection. Handing over a blue crystal, Zhang tells him to take it, cultivate, and not disappoint him because he has high expectations for him. The blue-haired subordinate hesitates, saying he doesn't earn much and can't accept such a gift. Zhang reassures him, saying it's his secret money that even Sue doesn't know about. Heading to the mission display area, Zhang tells him that if he feels guilty, he should work hard and raise his rank. Later, they're aboard a crowded bus. The bus announces their arrival at the market, signaling everyone to disembark. As they prepare for their hunt, they go ahead and rent a car. Exiting the bus, Zhang remarks that he didn't expect such a place to be so far from the city yet so lively. A man approaches, offering a cheap car rental. Inspecting a motorcycle, Zhang asks for the daily cost. The vendor explains that the deposit is 2 white crystals, the daily rate is 5 coins and stars, plus the cost of gas. Opening the map, Zhang shows the vendor his destination and asks for a gas estimate for a round trip. Surprised, the vendor comments that even a 5th-rank martial artist wouldn't provoke the monsters in that area and questions if Zhang is seeking death. Confidently, Zhang smiles and says he's not just going there, he's going to kill them. A pack of wolves is devouring an elk. Suddenly, one of the wolves senses something unusual. An arrow hits it squarely, alerting the entire pack. Thrilled, Zhang notes that he earned 1,600 XP. He decides this rocky area will be his primary hunting ground. Observing the wolves, he studies their weak points. Quickly, he begins firing arrows at the pack, hitting each target perfectly without wasting a single shot. Later, he retrieves arrows from the fallen wolves. Noticing the arrows are damaged, he realizes he never purchased new ones and won't be able to reuse these. However, he sees this as an opportunity to train close combat and earn more XP. One of the wolves lunges at him with sharp claws, but Zhang narrowly dodges. Excited, he acknowledges their impressive speed. Another wolf tries to attack from behind, but he dodges again. Eagerly, Zhang asks the wolf to help him train his body. After some time, only Zhang and one other wolf remain standing. The wolf charges at the hero furiously, trying to land a precise strike, but Zhang dodges. The wolf then throws its entire body toward him, but Zhang evades it in a rather curious way. He comments that training is done for the day and thanks the wolf for its help. Then he stops playing around and approaches the animal with his blade. With a fatal blow, he slashes it multiple times. He notices that the wolf dropped 2 blue crystals and considers it a decent reward. He affirms that if he wants to become even stronger, they'll have to rely not only on honest skills, but also on the power of the stars. Sometime later, he returns to the village. Approaching the merchant, Zhang announces that he's here to return the motorcycle. Shocked, the man asks if Zhang fell into a wild beast's nest. Watching him leave, the merchant wonders if today's youth are afraid of death anymore. Zhang returns to his hotel room where his friends are worried, asking if something happened to him and if he was robbed. Changing the subject, Zhang asks Lan if he noticed any improvement after absorbing the blue crystal. Lan responds that he'll likely reach rank 3 in a few days. Irritated, Asuka scolds Zhang for giving a blue crystal to Lan when they barely have any money left. Telling her to relax, Zhang shows the results of his hunt, which surprises her. But shifting topics, Zhang tells Asuka that she may need to work a bit in the coming days. He says they can't stay in the hotel indefinitely and wonders if 2 blue crystals would be enough to buy a house. Sometime later, Zhang is collecting wolf crystals again. He realizes that this week he has gathered 20 blue crystals and decides this is an excellent spot. Not only does he train, but he also earns a decent income. However, he feels that the combat training isn't as effective as he hoped and wonders if he should reconsider and find a new place to train. Looking around, he notices something unusual. In his view are several mushrooms that seem rare. Nervously, he questions why mushrooms are growing in this rocky area. He recalls a tip from the mysterious woman who mentioned that rare plants or unknown vegetation can be found in the forest and should be collected. She explained that many of these are mutant plants capable of absorbing star power, making them rare and valuable. Holding the mushroom, he realizes it's a mutant plant brimming with star power, and he can even feel it himself. Elsewhere, a group of young people is chatting. As Zhang approaches, one of them comments that they're unsure of his rank but suspect he fights large monsters every day. Zhang walks up to them and asks if he managed to survive peacefully today. Another questions if he's not afraid of dying someday. Zhang remarks that he came to return the motorcycle, and the merchant comments that he's back early this time. Zhang explains that it's because he wants to visit the market. Watching him head toward the bus, the merchant wonders if crazy people also visit supermarkets. Sometime later in Eden City's market, a man announces a limited edition perfume, saying it costs a high-level white crystal. He approaches Zhang, asking if he wants to buy the perfume as a gift for his beloved. Annoyed, Zhang states that he's a woman and questions who he's calling bro. Smelling the perfume, Zhang offers a medium-rank white crystal for it. The bald merchant agrees to the deal. With the perfume in hand, Zhang wonders whether Will or Wayne would like something like this. Approaching an alley and noticing no one around, he begins to conjure a magical portal and retrieves something from it. It's a rank 3 jackal hide. Damaged ones are worth a low-level white crystal, while perfect ones fetch a medium-level white crystal. A potential customer appears, asking if Zhang can offer a lower price. Zhang firmly says no. Inspecting the hides, the man wonders how an apprentice martial artist managed to hunt such creatures but acknowledges the hide's excellent quality. The man, a rank 6 martial artist named Zhang Zhan, declares that he wants all of them. The card he gives Zhang reads, Victory Equipment Store. Zhang asks if he'd like to check the condition of the hides first, but Zhan replies that his instincts are enough to confirm their quality. As Zhan departs, Zhang remarks that if he ever needs equipment, he should visit the store. The man tells his leader that if they use the jackal hides, they could increase their mission rate. However, his subordinate comments that the mission already took them 5 days and questions if they can afford to breach the contract. Intervening, Zhang asks if they're discussing the weakness of the iron armor monster, as he knows what it is. Nervously, the man questions whether Zhang truly knows the iron armor's weakness. The protagonist confirms while the man's subordinate scoffs, saying Zhang is just a martial arts apprentice who has likely never even seen the creature. Surprisingly, Zhang begins to detail the monster, explaining how it functions and noting that even rank 7 martial artists struggle against it. Smiling, he speculates that they accepted the mission because it was listed as a rank 4 monster, but they didn't expect it to be this challenging. Skeptical, the leader questions why they should trust him. Zhang replies that he's not forcing anyone to believe him. Reluctantly, the man asks for the price. Zhang states that it costs 1 low-level blue crystal. The price shocks everyone, but Zhang argues that he saw the mission, which offers 5 low-level blue crystals as a reward, mean they'll still profit. The man introduces himself as Xiao Heng, leader of the Warhammer group, and says he expects the information to be accurate. Otherwise, Zhang will have to pay. Smiling, Zhang introduces himself as a martial arts apprentice and congratulates Heng on completing the mission in advance. The leader asks if targeting the monster's head will really lower its defenses that easily and requests the coordinates, saying he doesn't fully trust Zhang. However, the leader remarks that Zhang seems stronger than a martial arts apprentice and isn't as simple as he appears. Later, they look at some photos and Sue tells Zhang she's found some better places. Zhang praises her for finding these houses so quickly, and she replies that it's her job. Zhang chooses one of the houses and Lan asks if the area is a noble district. Excited, Zhang declares they'll live like nobles. Inside the house, Sue comments that it's even more beautiful than in the photos, and Zhang agrees that it's worth the price. The broker says he's looking forward to the next negotiation and informs the boss that he's already handed the keys to the wife. Embarrassed, Sue apologizes to Zhang, explaining that she didn't clarify the situation to the broker, who misunderstood. Changing the subject, Zhang says he almost forgot and hands Sue the perfume, leaving her completely flustered. Lam then wonders aloud if they're forgetting something. Later, outside the house, Zhang is thoughtful as he walks through the market alongside Xiao and Yang. The man with the mohawk tells his boss that it's the same boy from before. His boss still can't forget about the girl. Responding, the mohawk man jokes that he's still in love and calls it love at first sight. Smoking, the old man says he won't stop him but advises him to wait until their task is completed. The boy assures him not to worry, saying he knows what to do and was very lucky today, so they'll see. Looking back, Zhang notices the old man has given up and remarks that he's fortunate. Later, Zhang is riding a motorcycle in a rocky area. Suddenly, spotting something, he brakes abruptly and sees several men who appear to be mercenaries ahead of him. One of the men shouts that the area belongs to the Qianhe gang and warns that if Zhang doesn't want to die, he better leave. This leaves Zhang confused as he has no idea what the man is talking about. Dismounting, he asks what will happen if he says no. The man, placing a hand on his head, asks if a martial arts apprentice has a death wish. Zhang replies that the one wishing for death is the man himself. Their leader, Song, asks his subordinate if he's sure there are 7 colored mushrooms in the area. The man confirms, saying if not for the mutant jackals, he would have already collected them. Irritated, Song orders his men to kill all the jackals in the area and search thoroughly. The bald subordinate asks if their debt will be settled once they find the mushrooms. Song tells him to move up and says the debt will be cleared if they're found. The bald man responds affirmatively and begins to leave. He understands that even as a rank 4 martial artist, is nothing compared to Mr. Song. Suddenly, the leader hears some noise on his radio. He pulls it out of his pocket to answer. On the other end, someone reports that their territory has been invaded and 3 rank 5 members have been killed, leaving Song shocked. Song orders his men to pursue the intruder, calling them all trash and declaring that anyone who kills gang members won't live to tell the tale. He decides to leave part of the group behind to search for the mushrooms while the rest chase the intruder, instructing them to kill anyone suspicious. Following his orders, everyone disperses. Meanwhile, in another location, Zhang is exhausted and hiding. He comments that it's a good thing he learned this skill. Otherwise, killing 3 rank 5 martial artists wouldn't have been so easy. An enemy spots his trail and shouts for reinforcements. Looking to the side, Zhang senses a fast-moving presence approaching. Sometime later, the group arrives but is left speechless. Leader Song looks at the scene and asks, bewildered, what's going on. One of his subordinates lies lifeless on the ground. Enraged, Song screams for his men to find and eliminate this trash immediately. Obeying the order, everyone begins searching for Zhang. Hidden and analyzing the situation, Zhang identifies the man in the center as the gang leader. He realizes that he must seize an opportunity to eliminate him since he's a rank 7 martial artist. The thought leaves Zhang completely rattled. He understands that his speed is no match for a rank 7, even though he's quit for his level. Nervously, he considers retreating and abandoning his plan. At that moment, Zhang activates a strange skill. One of the men questions the source of an odd sound and notices a strong wind blowing nearby. Zhang takes advantage of the distraction to flee. Sitting and sipping water, he mutters about how his cultivation plan was ruined because of them. Sighing, he glances back and realizes he's entirely alone. Spotting something, he approaches. Picking up a peculiar bone from the ground, he wonders what it could be. Looking ahead, he notices something eerie. Several skeletons are entangled in a massive spiderweb. Seeing this, he becomes anxious, unsure of what to do. A sudden strike comes his way, but his agility allows him to dodge just in time. From the darkness, 8 red eyes emerge. It's a giant spider cloaked in dark energy. Without hesitation, the spider lunges at Zheng, who leaps aside to evade and simultaneously prepares 3 arrows. Determined, he fires the arrows at the monster. However, all 3 hit their target without causing any damage. At that moment, Zheng activates a skill called Swift. He begins darting side to side with incredible speed. Yet the spider relentlessly chases him. Hiding behind a tree, Zheng remarks that the spider's armor is unbreakable and its speed is extraordinary, making this battle a significant challenge. Suddenly, the spider attacks but ends up striking the tree trunk. The massive creature then pauses and unleashes a strange attack from its mouth. Zheng narrowly dodges it. Moments later, the spider hurls its entire weight toward the ground. Zheng falls onto the grass as the spider towers over him, shrieking close to his face. The situation unnerves him deeply. Quickly, he grabs his knife and without hesitation, screams the spider to back off. With all his strength, he lands a strike powerful enough to sever one of the spider's fangs. In shock, Zheng wonders if he managed to break his armor with just that. A green liquid resembling blood begins oozing from the spider's fang. Without wasting time, Zheng cuts off one of the spider's legs, forcing it to retreat and lose balance. Inspecting his weapon, he realizes it's imbued with star power and acknowledges that he's finally become a rank 1 martial artist. Elsewhere, a bald man tells his boss they made good money on this trip. However, as they drive, he notices someone standing in the middle of the road. The driver slams the brakes abruptly to avoid hitting Zheng. Annoyed, the man asks if Zheng has a death wish. Zheng, unbothered, asks if he can catch a ride. The man tells him to get lost, but Zheng remarks there's no need to be so rude. At that moment, the leader, Hua, intervenes, saying it's fine and they can let the boy in. The bald man grumbles, saying Zheng is lucky that boss Hua allowed him to ride in the truck. Thanking them for their kindness, Zheng climbs into the vehicle. The blond man offers him a cigarette. Smiling, Zheng declines, saying he doesn't smoke. He then mentions he's heading to Titan City for a while and asks which group they belong to. With a cigarette in his mouth, the man replies that they're part of the Huon group. In his mind, Zheng finds it amusing that a truck full of muscular men belongs to a group with such a feminine-sounding name. Laughing, Zheng asks the blonde man if he knows of a place in Titan City where he can train star power. The man says he's not sure about martial arts training in the 3rd District, but warns that it's not cheap. Sometime later, they arrive at the outskirts of Titan City. Zheng gets off the vehicle, thanks them for the ride, and says he owes them a favor. Heading back to his place, Zheng reflects on how he's finally a martial artist and needs to improve his martial arts skills. There, Lan informs the young master that he's been promoted to rank 3 martial artist. Hugging Zheng, Lan thanks him for the blue crystals, and Zheng notes that he's also been promoted. The blue-haired subordinate asks if Zheng is now a rank 1 martial artist, and Su begins to cry with pride. Seated at the table, Zheng says they'll live a better life and proposes a toast to that better life. The 3 raise their glasses, saying, to health. The next day, Zheng and Lan head to the training center. Lan asks if the training will be expensive, and Zheng replies that if it makes him stronger, any price is worth it. Nearby, they notice rank 4 and rank 6 martial artists, realizing how high the levels of the facility are. Zheng reflects that it's a good thing he hunted the phantom spider and auctioned off its silk, fetching a high price. Otherwise, he wouldn't have enough capital to train here. A woman approaches and asks if the 2 want to train, instructing them to follow her. She inquires about the level of training they wish to undergo, and Zheng replies that they should start with level 3. The woman explains that the level 3 room requires payment with a blue crystal and a ticket to unlock the door. Before entering, they must also sign a life and death contract. Lan assures them he won't disappoint, and Zheng tells him to go ahead. Meanwhile, Zheng informs the woman that he wants to open a level 5 room for himself. Nervously, she asks if he heard her correctly and really wants to enter a level 5 room. Zheng confirms, insisting that she open it. She explains that it's not a spiritual training session, but actual combat with ferocious monsters. Zheng says he understands and points to the rank 5 mutant gorilla, declaring it as his opponent. As Zheng leaves, the woman remarks that the mutant gorilla is as strong as a rank 6 monster and wonders if he has a death wish. A man presents the training room to Zheng, explaining that inserting the ticket will unlock the door and wishing him good luck. Even through the door, Zheng can feel the danger emanating from the mutant gorilla, just as he expected. A blond man appears, commenting that it's the first time he's seen someone act so recklessly. He quips that if it were him, slitting his own throat with a knife would be quicker. Irritated, Zhang snaps back, calling him an idiot. One of the man's subordinates intervenes, apologizing to Zhang and urging the blonde to do the same. Zhang questions why and asks if they want to enter and try as well. This surprises everyone. Conrad, the instigator, declares that they're all cowards who wouldn't dare enter. Opening the door, Zhang tells them all to leave immediately. One of the men questions if he heard correctly, asking if Zhang really intends to challenge the monster. Another assures their young master, Lu, not to get upset because the boy is definitely going to die. Lu remarks that if Zhang dies, it's his problem, but if he falls into his hands, he'll make him pay. Sometime later, the massive gorilla lies on the ground. It's announced that the tranquilizer in the monster system has fully dissipated and that Zhang should prepare for battle. Determined, Zhang tells the monster that whether or not he advances to rank 2 depends on this fight. Standing face to face with the massive beast, Zhang braces himself for the challenge. Suddenly, the gorilla wakes up and opens its eyes. As it rises, the rank 6 mutant gorilla begins thrashing around. Outside, one of the men remarks that he'd never want to face such a creature in his lifetime. Lu asks the staff why they haven't removed the body yet. Hearing a loud crash, the blonde man jokes that they won't need to since the kid's bones are probably already crushed. Approaching the staff, he requests a copy of the training room recording to enjoy watching it later at home. However, the staff member explains that it won't be possible due to privacy policies. The blonde man dismisses this, stating that dead people don't have privacy. As the sounds from the training room grow louder, a blonde man begins to ask what's going on. His subordinate wonders aloud if the boy might still be alive. 30 minutes pass, and the blonde man starts trembling, asking if he's dreaming. He slaps one of his subordinates, who protests, and the blonde realizes he's definitely awake. Lu questions how a rank 1 martial artist has survived so long against a rank 5 monster. Inside the training room, Zhang is on his knees, panting heavily and visibly exhausted. The gorilla is still standing, but has very low HP. Without hesitation, Zhang rushes toward it. The massive creature swings its fist at him, but Zhang dodges. He counters with a skill called Debone. Suddenly, Zhang realizes he's leveled up. Excited, he celebrates his promotion to rank 2 martial artist. The giant gorilla continues attacking and Zhang keeps dodging with increasing agility. Above the monster, Zhang uses a stabbing technique called Pierce. Then he finishes with a skill called Overwhelm, striking the gorilla with immense force. The monster roars in pain and collapses to the ground. The system notifies Zhang that he's earned 7,200 XP for defeating the monster. Outside the training room, one of Lu's subordinates tells him the boy must be dead since there's no more noise. At that exact moment, Zhang opens the door. Panicked, the man wonders if he's seeing a ghost. Zhang calmly informs the staff that they can now send someone to clean the room. In shock, the blonde man realizes he was mistaken. Zhang was only rank 1 before the session. He's now a rank 2 martial artist after a single training session. The onlookers are awestruck by the protagonist's accomplishment. Walking up to the woman, Zhang requests to open a rank 6 training room this time. In front of everyone, he begins selecting his challenge. Holding a green crystal, the woman is amazed by Zhang's courage. She comments that the rank 6 mutant monster is a true challenge and asks if he really wants to face it. Watching this unfold, someone remarks that Zhang is crazy, while another bets on whether he'll survive. Yet another notes that Zhang is very young and already courting death. The activity in the training center continues as usual, with people heading to their respective rooms. Smoking a cigar, rank 7 martial artist Zhang Sheng finds the situation fascinating. He asks his employee if it's true that Zhang is only rank 2. The employee confirms, adding that Zhang was rank 1 before challenging the gorilla. The older man orders the surveillance camera in Zhang's training room to be activated and the footage streamed to the main lobby. Nervously, the employee asks if permission is required. Zhang Sheng dismisses the concern, saying he'll handle any issues. He notes that if the boy succeeds in completing the challenge, the promotion will greatly benefit the center. In the main lobby, people discuss the protagonist's fight as they await the stream. Soon, the battle is broadcasted. One viewer remarks that the monster is emitting a poisonous mist, while another wonders if the stream has already ended. Zhang is seen enveloped in the green mist. He appears slightly fatigued and has lost some HP. Using his storage skill, Zhang retrieves a healing potion. The question arises, will it be effective against poison in this world? With nothing to lose, Zhang drinks the potion. Spinning his knife, he calls out the monster, saying he wants to see his true strength. Emerging from the green fog is a massive viper. Viewers watch the broadcast intently, with one man marveling at how humans can move so quickly. The battle appears intense and frenetic. Suddenly, the screen displays no signal, prompting the crowd to question if the giant viper caused the interruption. Panting, Zhang mutters that rank 6 is much tougher than he had imagined. Zhang, excited about reaching rank 3, looks back and realizes he needs to find someone to address the issue with the live stream. Outside the training center, everyone sees the no signal message and wonders who won and if the battle is over. A man approaches Zhang, saying his boss wants to see him. Zhang confirms, saying he'd like to meet him as well. Sometime later, Zhang enters the boss's office. He demands an explanation for what happened. The boss snaps his fingers, gesturing for Zhang to calm down. One of his employees brings a glass of water to Zhang. The boss points to a mysterious box covered with cloth. Revealing its contents, he says that, as an apology, today's training fee will be reduced. Additionally, with this card, Zhang will receive a 20% discount on all martial arts training and payments. Zhang sternly warns them not to leak any information about him, and the boss assures him they won't. Standing up, the boss calls Zhang closer and asks if he can pose a personal question. Adjusting his glasses, the boss inquires how Zhang managed to kill the rank 6 Viper. Annoyed, Zhang asks why people are so interested in his privacy. Apologizing, the boss changes the subject, asking if Zhang would consider joining the Best King Gathering. He explains that with their resources, they could guarantee he reach rank 6 martial artist within a year. Slamming the door shut, Zhang curtly says he's not interested and leaves. Lost in the crowd, Lan wonders where the young master is and if he might have gone home first. A staff member remarks that Zhang is just a rank 3 martial artist and was likely being Maeve. The older man comments that potential is immeasurable and admits that he probably shouldn't have started the live stream. After leaving the training center, Zhang walks through the streets. Inspecting his knife, he notes that it seems unusable now. He remembers a man who claimed to be a weapons dealer with a store. Sometime later, Zhang arrives at Victory Equipment Store. Impressed by the shop's size, he regrets selling the jackal hides too cheaply. Arms crossed, the shopkeeper stares at Zhang, who sips a cup of coffee in silence. Nervously, the man asks when Zhang became a rank 3 martial artist, as it seemed to happen recently. Zhang nonchalantly replies that it's no big deal, and that he simply worked harder than others. Embarrassed, the shopkeeper admits that even if Zhang didn't want to tell the truth, he could come up with a better excuse. Setting the cup down, Zhang tells the shopkeeper, Chang, that he's here to buy some equipment this time. Chang responds that he might throw in something for free after Zhang makes a purchase. Zhang produces a blue material and asks if Chang would accept it. Stunned, Chang recognizes it as blue spider silk, an excellent material for crafting equipment. Examining it under a magnifying glass, he comments that it's incredibly rare and can only be obtained by killing a rank 6 demon spider. Chang notes that it defies logic for a rank B martial artist to acquire such material. He offers 15 green crystals for the 11 meters of silk, and Zhang agrees to the deal. Laughing enthusiastically, Chang celebrates receiving high-quality material and promises to craft a weapon for Zhang for free. Zhang observes the process and remarks on how ancient the method seemed. Chang explains that items made by machines are typically used by ordinary people, while martial artists' weapons are crafted with a focus on conductivity. He elaborates that conductivity involves channeling star power into weapons, enhancing their combat effectiveness. Chang assures Zhang that with the blue spider silk, he can create a weapon with at least 13% conductivity. He adds that the silk allows him to surpass the legendary Ningxu weapon, which has 15% conductivity. Placing the silk on the welding platform, Chang begins forging the weapon. Explosions erupt as the material undergoes intense processing. Later, the weapon is cooled in a vat of blue liquid. Handing it over, Chang tells Zhang that the rest is up to his luck. Examining the weapon, Zhang notes how incredibly lightweight it feels. Spinning it, the weapon moves with supernatural speed. The weapon feels perfectly suited to Zhang. Reflecting, Chang thinks that if Zhang claimed to be an 8th or 9th rank martial artist, he believed it due to the sheer aura and overwhelming pressure Zhang exudes. Chang seems to have thoroughly enjoyed crafting the new weapon. In shock, the craftsman realizes that the dagger has at least 20% conductivity, worth at least a mid-level purple crystal. He questions how he gave it away so casually. Zhang thanks him and bids farewell. The craftsman, irritated, tells him to leave quickly, calling him a miserly treasure and warning him to go before he changes his mind. He reassures himself that since he succeeded in making one, he's confident he can make another. As Zhang walks through the city, one of Lu's men spots him and asks for young master if that's the kid from the training center earlier. Lu comments that they couldn't touch him before his training, but now they can teach him a lesson. His subordinate, however, nervously reminds him that the boy killed a mutant gorilla. Fuming, Lu dismisses this, saying the boy is just trash who knows a few tricks, insisting there's no way a rank 3 martial artist could do that. Then Lu recalls that Zhang was rank 1 just a while ago, and the bald man reminds him that Zhang reached rank 2 after fighting the gorilla. Angrily, Lu snaps, saying it doesn't matter and that they should deal with him now, regardless of his rank. Approaching Zhang, Lu sneers, accusing him of finally growing some courage and declaring they'll see how arrogant he can be now. Zhang, looking at Lu, asks who they are and if he knows them. Irritated, Lu orders his men to break Zhang's legs and beat him up. In an instant, Zhang delivers a swift kick to one of them, sending him flying into a wall. Spinning with supernatural speed, he prepares to strike the other. In mere seconds, Zhang effortlessly defeats both henchmen, leaving Lu in complete shock. Nearby, a young girl hears the commotion. Turning around, she notices a tree trunk about to fall on her head. Zhang, about to leave, notices the situation and immediately rushes to save her. His speed is so impressive that Lu is left dumbfounded. Holding the girl in his arms, Zhang watches as she kicks Lu, sending him tumbling into the fallen trunk and hitting his head. Kneeling, Zhang asks if the girl is okay, and she confirms that she is. Enraged, Lu accuses Zhang of provoking him first. Zhang retorts, asking who cares about who he is. Laughing, Lu warns Zhang to kneel and beg for forgiveness. He threatens Zhang, saying his family will show him what's worse than death if he doesn't comply. Infuriated, Zhang uses a teleportation-like ability to deliver a precise kick to Lu's ankle. The blow causes Lu to collapse to the ground, wailing in pain. Calmly, Zhang declares that he hates being threatened by anyone. Desperately crying, Lu begs for forgiveness, admitting he was wrong. Onlookers comment on Zhang's bravery, wondering if he isn't afraid of the Lu family. They remark that Lu acted tough until now, but his downfall is pitiful. In his mind, Zhang reflects on the harsh reality of this world. The strong survive and the weak perish. As for the Lu family, Zhang wonders about them, but decides he doesn't care if this is the beginning of a conflict. At the Lu family residence, Lu lies in bed with a broken leg while a doctor examines him. Standing nearby, the doctor informs the family leader that the young master's bone is fractured, and even if it heals, there will be lasting effects. The bald subordinate asks if this will impact his strength, and the doctor confirms, explaining that Lu's meridians are damaged. In disbelief, the family leader denies the truth, saying it must be a lie. Crying, Lu blames everything on Zhang and demands revenge. His father, disgusted, calls him trash and questions how he dares to cry. He scolds him for being defeated by a rank 3 martial artist despite being a rank 4 himself. The family leader demands to know Zhang's origins and past. He summons his employee, Bin, and orders him to investigate Zhang immediately. The leader declares that it doesn't matter who Zhang is, since he dared to harm his son. He must face the consequences and pay for his actions. One day later at the Chiton City Market, Zhang laments how much he's been spending recently and decides he needs to find a job to earn more money. Someone calls him specialist, grabbing his attention, saying they met again and thanking him for his method that helped complete their mission. The squad leader introduces Zhang to his brother, stating that Zhang is the specialist he mentioned. Zhang asks if they can stop calling him that. Placing a hand on Zhang's shoulder, the man remarks how Zhang went from a martial arts apprentice to rank 3 in just a few days and wonders how you could call him anything else. The leader mentions that his squad is heading to another city and invites Zhang to join them. Zhang asks if there's money to be made, and upon hearing there is, he agrees. Later, at the Central Plaza, the leader announces that the Hammer Squad is recruiting veterans with combat abilities, preferably rank 5 and above. Watching this, Zhang notes how similar it feels to organizing a dungeon raid in a game. The leader explains the mission. They will head to Weiss City with a reward of 1 mid-level blue crystal. A martial artist, rank 6, named Zhang Sun, volunteers but demands an additional crystal to join temporarily. The leader, caught off guard, suggests compensating with contributions or extra work. Irritated, Sun mocks him, asking how they can guarantee any reward at all. Zhang considers whether he should prepare his weapon to avoid drawing unnecessary attention and reflects on how brother Chang helped modify his bow for better conductivity. He wonders if it will now be easier to use. Suddenly, the rank 6 man climbs onto the truck bed. He notices Zhang's bow and asks if he only uses it to hunt wild beasts, adding that quality bows with 5 conductivity points are a true weapon. One of the men calls Zhang a specialist, mentioning the powerful draw strength of his bow and suggesting he sit inside the truck. Zhang insists he's fine in the back and that the draw is cooling down. Laughing, the man asks what makes him an elite specialist. Still on the outskirts of Chiton City, Zhang and others are seated in the truck bed. The leader instructs them to wait while he buys supplies. Recognizing some people nearby, Zhang greets them. One man offers him a vial, explaining it's a family remedy he found recently, but doesn't plan to use. The blue-bearded man is shocked, wondering if people are blind for treating Zhang so well despite him being just a rank 3 martial artist. Stretching, he dismisses them as fools and vows to show them what true upper-class power looks like. However, everyone ignores the rank 6 man, leaving him completely baffled. As Zhang leaves, the others lament losing the chance for a safe trip and vow not to return injured this time. Inspecting the vial he received, Zhang notes its limited HP restorative properties, deciding it could be useful in critical moments. The man then advises Zhang to swap it for a proper flask later. Smiling, Zhang says it's just a habit. Some time passes, and the group arrives at the outer construction area of Wei City. Zhang begins his preparations. At that moment, something catches the squad leader's attention. The bald subordinate appears overly eager about the mission. The leader comments that Xiang is reckless and reminds everyone to be cautious. The group explores the city together, defeating monsters along the way. Suddenly, a zombie lunges at the leader. However, it's quickly shot down with an arrow. Excited, Zhang praises his teammates' sharp shooting skills. The leader warns the group that they must reach the designated street within 5 minutes to avoid an influx of venomous zombies. Zhang calls out to an arrogant specialist, teasing that the zombies are all his and that earning 2 blue crystals won't be easy. Command sneers, asking if Zhang plans to just stand there and watch. Zhang explains that their pay depends on productivity. No work, no reward. Challenged, the man declares he'll prove why he's worth 2 blue crystals. Charging toward the zombies, the arrogant rank 6 martial artist takes down 2 with precision strikes, impressing the leader, who praises his skills. The others remark that the extra expense for his services was worth it. Suddenly, a swarm of rank 30 zombies appears. One of the men notes that the zombies in the shopping district are all mutants and warns that advancing further poses a significant risk. Confident, the arrogant man decides to try his luck. He shoots a zombie in the head, but it appears unaffected. Zhang, however, praises his shot, calling it impressive. Zhang then announces that he's warming up and tells everyone to stay back, saying he'll handle the rest. The arrogant man scoffs, questioning if Zhang really thinks he's a specialist and accusing him of seeking death. Ignoring her remarks, Zhang charges forward. He begins shooting arrows at the zombies, thinking about how much free XP he can farm and not wanting to miss the opportunity. The arrogant man grumbles to the leader, complaining that Zhang lacks discipline and organization and questions why they even recruited someone like him. When the leader doesn't respond, the man calls out again, frustrated by their silence. Approaching the trio, he's stunned by what he sees. Zhang is rapidly taking down multiple zombies at once with incredible accuracy. Everyone watches in awe as Zhang eliminates one zombie after another with ease, each kill netting him 700 XP. Zhang doesn't appear to struggle at all, landing precise headshots with his arrows. When he finally finishes, Zhang declares that reaching level 30 is achievable, and once the time comes, he'll unlock a new skill. The arrogant man, still in disbelief, realizes that Zhang defeated all the zombies in just 3 minutes and mutters that he's truly a human beast. Zhang announces that he's done and asks for help retrieving his arrows, saying some of them can still be reused. The group erupts in celebration, praising Zhang as an unparalleled specialist and marveling at his strength. One man comments that Zhang was hiding his true power all along, while another declares himself a fan. Later, the group searches the zombie corpses for Zhang's arrows. Zhang notices his zombie's body lying on the ground and prepares to finish it off when he spots a blue crystal nearby. Another man sees it too, remarking on Zhang's luck, finding a blue crystal on his first try. Zhang quickly recalls that his brother had also mentioned retrieving arrows, and he shifts focus to that task. The arrogant man begrudgingly helps but internally complains about assisting a rank 3 martial artist in such a menial task. On the road, the leader announces their next stop, the shopping district, which will be their primary hunting ground for the day. He warns his team that driving the cars in will make too much noise and attract venomous zombies. Glancing over, he calls for both specialists to step up. Arms crossed, the arrogant man looks visibly annoyed. Zombies begin to appear on the asphalt. Judging by their appearance, they don't seem to be particularly strong mutants. Handing his bow to someone nearby, Zhang asks them to hold it. Turning to the rank 6 man, Zhang proposes a small duel. The blue-haired man agrees, stating he's not afraid of a challenge. Surprised but amused by his response, Zhang decides to go first, showcasing his superhuman speed. Zhang moves swiftly, landing precise blows to the zombies' faces before they even realize what's happening. He seamlessly shifts positions and delivers a fatal strike to another zombie, marveling at how incredible the system's power is when combined with martial arts. The rank 6 martial artist watches in disbelief, admitting to himself that he's lost the duel. One of the men points out Zhang's weapon to the leader, the dagger he received for free from the merchant. The rank 6 man, Zhang Chun, examines it closely and realizes it's a high conductivity weapon. He suspects its conductivity is the highest of any weapon he's ever seen and briefly considers obtaining it for himself. However, slapping his forehead, he dismisses the idea, knowing that trying to steal it from someone like Zheng would be as reckless as fighting a rank 7 mutant alone. Frustrated but resolute, Zheng Chun grips his trident tightly and charges at the zombies, yelling for them to die. Then, sometime later, the two are standing and all the zombies fall to the ground. Excited, the hero realizes he just needs one more level. Surprisingly, the arrogant one introduces himself as Zheng Chun. The hero also introduces himself, saying he is actually a true specialist here. But the man tells him not to talk nonsense and not to be so humble, claiming that even a rank 7 leader must be weaker than the boy. One of the men says they are rich this time. Analyzing the situation, the man realizes he shouldn't have been so arrogant and questions why he asked for upfront payment instead of profit from participation. Suddenly, one of the subordinates calls for the leader. Pointing behind them, he says a giant poisonous zombie is coming their way. The monster is indeed massive, and behind it are several smaller zombies. This giant zombie charges forward with great speed. Terrified, the leader orders everyone to get into the car, saying they need to get out of there. He then tells Zhou Zheng to get in the car as well. Determined, Zhao says they should go ahead, as the speed of that thing is faster than the cars and he needs to slow it down to avoid losses. At that moment, he begins to focus. The monster is truly huge and is closing in on the car. Quickly, it hurls the car toward everyone. Furious and with immense strength, Zhu tears all of his clothes and charges forward. Zheng then tells everyone to leave as they will only be a burden to him. The man realizes he underestimated the hero's combat skills. Looking back, he agrees and trusts him, saying they should leave first. The leader tells Zheng they will wait on the road. Two cars start and drive away. Meanwhile, the zombie tries to stomp on the protagonist, but he dodges skillfully. He leaps and declares to the giant that its opponent is him. From a distance, the men report that the zombie has fallen to the ground. The man is very impressed, wondering if the boy is really a rank 3 martial artist based on this level of combat aptitude. Observing a giant zombie, the boy tries to locate its weak points. Soria remarks that apparently it is not invincible as they say. The zombie tries to grab something to strike the protagonist, but the boy quickly disappears. From behind, he uses the stab skill. 10 minutes pass in the fight. One of the men mentions that it's been a while since they've been there and the specialist hasn't returned, wondering what might have happened. The former arrogant one assures them not to worry, saying that guy's skills wouldn't let him die so easily. Using binoculars, one of the men announces that he's coming back, that the specialist has indeed returned. One of them says, "He's really our brother," while another adds that he knew he'd be okay. Handing over the blue crystal, the hero says that, as a team, they should always deliver what they managed to obtain. Saying this, the man realizes he could have kept that blue crystal, but understands that such combat skill and courage are admirable. The leader calls Zhao, saying that from now on, in this city of Kitten, he only has admiration for the boy. At that moment, one of the men calls him, saying that he is very strong and that he also admires him. At that moment, loud honking noises can be heard and two cars arrive at the scene. A bald man holding a weapon comments that they have a great haul there. In response, the leader says, of course, they're not like those weaklings who ran away. The two men remain silent. Hearing this, the bald man becomes extremely angry. The protagonist thinks that he can't even rest for a minute. Also irritated, the former arrogant one speaks up and asks if they want to fight, calling them trash. One of the subordinates warns the bald man, who is the boss, that they hired a rank 6 martial artist. Terrified and nervous, the man tells them to leave now. The blue-bearded one calls them cowards. Meanwhile, the protagonist reflects that having a high rank is like an identity certificate in this world. 3 days pass since the incident. The hero has already reached level 30 after defeating several giant monsters. He is very happy to finally reach this level and starts analyzing some skills. A giant cat approaches and he remarks that he must keep working and will advance soon. At the same time, at the protagonist's house, a man tells the young master that this is the boy's house. Lu declares that he will make Zhou Zheng understand that there are fates worse than death and that he will pay. Meanwhile, the hero is still collecting crystals from the giant beasts. He ends up collecting the blue crystal, but then looks back, noticing something. He sees the rank 7 martial artist with the power of green stars. He comments that a rank 7 martial artist must be well known in Kitten City. However, the man is struggling against the monsters. At that moment, he is about to be attacked. But the hero launches a flash attack toward one of them. Then he emerges from the bushes like a savior. This draws significant attention from the rank 7. He asks for the hero's help, promising a reward later. Without saying anything, the hero accepts and begins shooting flashes at the monsters. Then he grabs his custom-made dagger, which is very powerful. He comments that he'll take care of one and the other two are theirs. Time passes and the rank 7 asks his name and questions how a rank 3 martial artist can kill 2 mutant apes. In response, he says his name is Zhao Zhang and asks about the reward the man mentioned. The man says he's bold to ask such a thing and questions if he isn't afraid he might be killed. But the boy replies that he won't be able to kill him. Nervous, the man wonders why this boy emits a more dangerous aura than some high-rank martial artists. Laughing, the rank 7 takes something out of his inventory. He says it's monkey wine, which is very valuable, and tells Zhou he's hit the jackpot. He mentions it took him an entire week to hunt the Monkey King. The hero comments that if he hadn't been there, the man would already be dead, so it wasn't that bad. The rank 7 says there are fewer than 10 people capable of being recognized in Titan City, and the boy is now one of them. He then invites Zhu to a guild mission in a few days, and the hero accepts. Sometime later, the protagonist is on his motorcycle. He thinks today's haul wasn't bad and considers buying a shop for Yuan, so she won't be bored staying home all day. Deeply irritated, Lu orders his subordinates to break it down now. His men start entering the house. In shock, Su asks what they are doing. Smiling, the man says to capture her for questioning. Following the order, the men do so, and the woman tells them to let her go immediately. Lu appears, telling them to take their hands off her and calling them bastards. Irritated, he calls them trash, ordering them to leave her alone. Lu orders his men to beat him now. People are already talking about it, saying it was cruel, and another comments that no one told them to offend the Lu family. Hearing this, the protagonist realizes what is happening. Then he spots the fallen lunch on the ground. But with no way to wake him up, the subordinate apologizes, saying he couldn't manage it. At that moment, he ends up coughing blood. This leaves the hero distressed, unsure of what to do. Now in the operating room, his surgery is underway while the boy waits. He seems very angry, already aware of what happened. Sometime later, the surgery ends. The doctor says his life is out of danger, but that his limbs may not fully recover. Inside the operating room, the boy simply observes his friend, remembering the conversation he overheard earlier. He vows to prevent anyone from speaking ill of the Lu family, especially that blonde boy. Sometime later at the Lu family residence, a boy is watching them. He wonders if they are ready to face his wrath. Inside the house, the blonde boy responds that he is ready. Seeing his woman on a cross, he begins laughing hysterically. The woman appears to be unconscious. One of the subordinates asks if they should start the interrogation. Smiling, the blonde man replies they should start. But he asks why the subordinate is still there and tells him to disappear immediately. Looking at the woman, he says Zhu Zhang will regret his decision for the rest of his life. Then he throws water at the woman to wake her up. Smiling, he admits that Titan City doesn't have many beautiful women like her. He says Zhu Zhang must like her a lot. Holding a knife, he comments that he can't just humiliate her. But being in a wheelchair, he can't reach her legs. He wonders aloud who tied her up so high. Approaching her, he says that if she promises to become his woman, he promises not to ruin her pretty face. In response, the girl spits on his forehead. This leaves the man deeply enraged, saying she will die right now. But the protagonist appears behind him, stabbing him and declaring that he's absolutely right about that. As the blonde man approaches, he declares that Zhao Zhang is dead. Trembling with fear, Su Yuan begins to cry. Untying the girl, the hero apologizes, saying he took too long. He says his woman will instantly embrace him. The boy holds her by the waist and leaves. He then stops under a tree. He tells her to wait there and not make a sound. Desperate, she begs the young master not to go. The boy says he killed their son, and that things won't end so easily. He tells her not to worry because he will return and that she must wait for him. The head of the family asks his subordinate if Tan Yu went after Zhou Zhang today. The man replies that he did, but he didn't find him and instead brought a girl. The old man becomes irritated, saying that Brat spends every Saturday and day only thinking about women. His subordinate asks if he should remind the young master of his duties, but the old man says it doesn't matter. Suddenly, he hears a noise and the subordinate asks who's there. The old man remarks that it's an impressive stealth skill, but the martial level is too low. The protagonist begins to appear gradually. The old man asks if this trickster is Zhen. The boy appears and realizes that this is a rank 8 martial artist who even went to the guild to gather information about him. Sitting in his chair, the old man orders his subordinate to kill him. The man charges at the boy with everything he's got. However, Zheng manages to dodge using his stabbing skill. Puffing on his pipe, the old man comments that the boy is quick. But using an attack like that on Bing will only tickle him. Even after the attack, the man starts smiling. However, he notices something strange. Looking back, he sees only his back was torn. Analyzing, he realizes the system's skill dealt force damage and wonders if his thick skin even matters. Appearing behind the protagonist, the man tells him to die. Seeing this, the old man begins to grow very nervous. Without difficulty, the boy lands a hit on the subordinate. Moving toward the old man, he says it's his turn now. The old man comments that the boy knows how to pull off some strange tricks. Exuding energy, he says the boy is too arrogant. Guards outside the house begin to sense the energy, saying they should go into alert mode. From atop the tree, Sue starts worrying about the young master, wishing he'll be safe in the end. The old man declares that there are at least 30 martial artists ranked 4 or higher in this place, and the boy won't be able to escape. But the hero asks who said he's planning to escape. Suddenly, several men burst into the room, reporting that something terrible has happened. Worried, the old man asks what happened to his son. Smiling, Zhang tells him not to get upset, saying his son was killed on the way. This information leaves the old head enraged, questioning what he just heard. The subordinate confirms that the young master is indeed dead. Hearing this, the old man is in disbelief, giving the protagonist an opening. Angrily, the old man says he'll tear Zhang apart. But it's too late as the hero gets close and uses his flash attack. However, he realizes it has little effect and wonders if a rank 8 martial artist is really this strong. Irritated, the bald man tells him to die now. He attempts a fatal attack, but the hero narrowly avoids it. The old man doesn't stop, launching a series of attacks. He hurls energy strikes one after the other. The protagonist dodges all of them while counting down. Charging forward, he decides now is the time. He then uses the flash ability, its cooldown now over, landing a frontal attack on the old man's abdomen. Using the dagger imbued with energy, it seems this attack had some effect. Surprisingly though, the old man says it doesn't even tickle. He strikes a blow that pierces through the protagonist's chest. This leaves the boy utterly shocked. Quickly, the old man kicks him against the wall. Laughing, the hero asks if the old man thinks he can evade his attacks. He explains that his father once taught him that only those who trust themselves win in the end. Holding an HP vial, he declares that the moment the old man was stabbed, he had already lost the fight. Surprised, the old man wonders if the boy's dagger is poisoned. Resolutely, the hero reveals it's the poison of the rank 6 venomous ghost spider, which even a rank 8 martial artist cannot survive. Meanwhile, Balaba is outside the house. Worried, Soul prays to God to help the young master. Suddenly, the boy appears, telling them to leave. As he runs, he thinks that an HP potion cannot fully heal him because of a wound caused by a rank 8 martial artist. He starts running desperately and suddenly trips. This causes him to lose hold of the girl's hand. Apparently, due to his weakness, he falls to the ground in pain, leaving the girl in despair. At the same time, the subordinate suggests splitting up and searching as he couldn't have gone far. Carrying the man with great difficulty, Soul thinks that the young master shouldn't worry, because this time it will be her turn to protect him. In the director's office, one of the men states the cause of death is poisoning, and another is surprised that a poison could kill someone of rank 8. He comments that it seems someone very interesting has appeared in China City. In an isolated area, Soul is with the protagonist, telling the young master to hold on a little longer. She explains she will search for herbs to stop his bleeding. Suddenly, he grabs her arm. He tells her there are medications and bandages in his bag. Hearing this, she retrieves the HP potion from the bag. She then pours it directly onto the hero's wound. He thinks the wound is very deep and that even the HP potion cannot regenerate quickly. After applying the uncle's remedy, the pain diminishes significantly. Soul then asks the young master how he is feeling. The hero realizes that this time he might need to rest a little. The jeepers are still in the forest and some time passes. Both are sleeping and the boy rests on her lap. She wakes up and calls for the young master, asking if the boy is already awake. Standing up, he asks if the wounds are healed. She responds yes, thanks to the remedy. He then says it's also thanks to her being there with him. Her face turns completely red from embarrassment, but her stomach starts growling and laughing. The hero says he'll take her for breakfast. In the city of Zon, they are having breakfast, and people are talking about how they heard Lu was killed along with his son. One man comments that the incident shocked the entire Titan Guard team, and another remarks that the city hadn't seen anything like this in years. While Thomas is having breakfast, the boy wonders about the Titan Guard team. At the same time, a man is smoking and analyzing a document. It contains all the information available about Zank. One of his subordinates appears, saying they already interrogated all the witnesses. Showing a photo, the subordinate remarks that the incident is definitely connected to him. Looking at the photo, the man says Zank and wonders how rank 3 martial artists could do this and if it's even possible. Meanwhile, in the hospital, they both visit Lan, who tells Asa not to worry because it wasn't her fault. He says it's all his own fault as he was weak and useless. With a heavy heart, the boy tells him not to worry, and that he will find a way to heal him. Crying, Asa tells the young master he doesn't have to do this for her. At that moment, A man arrives looking for Zhu Zhang, and another says they are from the Titan Guard team. Without any fear, the boy states his name is Zhu Zhang. One of the guards says you must have seen these people before, so the protagonist suggests they talk outside. Lan asks Azu what is going on, and the girl replies that everything is fine and that the young master said it's fine. Lan asks what she is talking about, but the girl quickly changes the subject. The hero bids farewell, telling them to take care and that if they need help with the investigation, he is willing to cooperate with double the effort. As they leave, one of the men asks the leader why all the evidence points to the boy, yet they haven't arrested him. The leader explains that people call this rank 3 martial artist rational, and he defeated someone of rank 8. He asks if anyone would believe that story. He adds that Lu is already dead, and it's not worth provoking such a terrifying person over a dead man. The man then asks how they should write the report, and the leader replies that Lu accidentally ate a poisonous plant and died. Back with the merchant, he resumes analyzing what the boy brought with a magnifying glass. He comments that it's a rank 6 viper skin in perfect condition. The merchant notes that with this viper skin, the boy has helped solve a major problem. He orders his men to bring the materials and give his brother the highest market price. The protagonist then asks if he knows who the best doctor in the city is. Hearing this, Shang becomes nervous and asks if the boy is injured. The boy responds no, but one of his friends had their limbs broken from a beating. Furious, Shang demands to know which bastard did this to harm his brother's people and promises to teach that trash a lesson. The boy explains he already dealt with it himself, but his friend's injury still hasn't been treated. Thinking, Shang says the best doctor in Titan City must be the Medicine King. Sometime later at the Medicine King's hospital, the boy notices a lot of people, and his friend says he managed to help, but it wasn't easy. He points out that the man sitting there has the surname Wang and is a disciple of the Medicine King, skilled in both Western and Chinese medicine. The man asks the boy if there's a problem. The boy explains that his friend's injury is a bit complicated and he wishes to see Elder Fan. In response, the man says that if his master is to help, the condition won't just be about money. He tells the boy to go back where he came from, as a rank 3 martial artist won't be able to find the herb his master needs. The Medicine King seems surprised that this is the only condition. The man then explains that the herb is located in the level 5 mutant monster area and asks if the boy thinks he can manage it. Shang suggests to his brother that they know other good doctors and should look for someone else. Zheng interrupts, saying he wants to take a walk and Shang should handle his own affairs without accompanying him. Shaking his hand, Zheng tells him to find him if he needs anything. Standing by the wall, the boy remarks that it must be the hospital's backyard. Suddenly, he starts running. He decides to jump over the hospital wall. He lands on the ground without any difficulty. He notices someone nearby tending to flowers. It's Fan Kie, a rank 8 martial artist. The boy is surprised to learn that the Medicine King is a martial artist of such a level. The man comments that he's old, can barely bend down, and his back always aches. He then asks how long the boy has been standing there if he has a request. Jane explains that his friend has a fracture and Fan asks if he knows the condition for receiving help. The boy responds that as long as he can find the herb requested, he's willing to help. Fan notes that his friend has a comminuted fracture and will need 2 skeleton herbs. Not understanding, the boy asks about these skeleton herbs, but then he says he understands. Sometime later, at the Martial Artists Association, the boy is researching skeleton herbs. The price of one is equivalent to a low-grade purple crystal and can be found in the Poison Mist area. Sometime later in the Poison Mist forest, the hero rides his motorcycle through the area. He parks and begins searching for the herb while drinking his HP potion. One man is shocked that he entered recklessly, while another comments that he must have a death wish. Not sensing much danger, the boy ventures deeper into the forest. Noticing several monsters, he remarks that there's plenty of XP here, but reminds himself he's mainly here for the herbs. Hearing a noise to the side, he turns. It's a level 6 venomous snake, which piques his curiosity. He sees a small entrance that looks like a cave. His instincts tell him there are good things inside. Without hesitation, he enters the mysterious cave. Inside, he discovers a creature. He throws a shiny object to illuminate the area. It reveals giant snakes with several different heads. Near them lies the herb he's been searching for. Observing, he confirms the skeleton herb is there, but realizes this venomous snake won't be easy to deal with. The Star Ruler throws a stone at a wall. He then prepares to use his skill and moves toward the herbs. He gets very close to grabbing one, but seeing this, one of the snakes notices and tries to attack him. Dodging, he comments that if it doesn't want to give up the herb, it can't blame him for killing it. He strikes one of the snakes. The other starts spraying venom, showing intense rage, putting him on high alert. Demonstrating incredible agility, he dodges an attack. One of the snake's tails strikes him, throwing him against the wall. Crouching, he remarks that the hit was very powerful. The giant snake seemed completely out of control. Nervously, he wonders if in any game this wouldn't count as a bug. He uses his skill to retrieve something from his inventory. He comments that he hasn't forgotten the days when he used bugs to grind. Panting after defeating the snake, he says that it's finally dead. It was a snake with several enormous heads. Excited and smiling, he says it's finally over. Deciding to collect XP from the giant monster, he levels up directly to level 33. This time, hitting the jackpot, he hadn't expected to find a green crystal in each snake head. However, he remembers the skeleton herbs, which are more important. He recalls that he needs to take them to the doctor. Elsewhere in the forest, other people are battling a giant snake with only one head. One of them begins to flee desperately to avoid death. However, the snake devours him with ease. This is the rank 7 mutant Viper King. One of the men curses, saying that it has managed to evolve. Inside the cave, the protagonist hears the monster's roar. He wonders what that sound is and if the forest has a boss monster. One of the men tells the others not to be afraid and to stay calm and to attack together. However, the plan falls apart as the snake attacks first. One of the men runs toward his colleague for protection and says the other is injured. He insists that if they are to follow this creature, they must avenge their brothers. Leaving the cave, the boy remarks that he has 5 herbs, each worth a purple crystal. He comments that he's made huge profits this time. But he notices something strange ahead of him. It's the rank 7 Viper King, now low on HP. The boy comments that it's seeking its death. He uses the flash skill to finish it with a single strike. The loud crash echoes through the forest. A man emerges from the bushes, asking what just happened. He then demands to know who the bastard responsible is. Back on his motorcycle, the boy wonders if his brother Shang might also be interested in this snake. Sometime later, he visits the Medicine King. The doctor asks the boy to knock next time. Surprising him, Zhang shows the skeleton herb and asks if this is what he wanted. Smiling, the old man confirms it is. He remarks that he never expected the boy to get his hands on it. He asks if the boy knows how precious the herb is. Zhang replies that he doesn't know if it's precious, but it's time for the doctor to fulfill his promise. Sometime later at the hospital, the doctor examines Lan and notes that whoever injured his arm was very brutal. But he adds that fortunately they have the skeleton herb, and without it, this type of injury couldn't be treated. Half an hour passes, and the doctor tells Lan that he has a great friend. In a week, he says, they'll witness a miracle. Zhang Ai thanks Elder Fan for saving Lan, but the man says he's being called Elder too quickly. Smiling, the boy says he's already paid the medical fee, so they owe each other nothing. The old man jokes that next time Zhang shouldn't look for lessons here. At that moment, the blue-haired boy apologizes to the young master for causing trouble again. The hero reassures him, saying that if someone were pulled into danger and seriously injured, he too would look for ways to help, quickly. Lan responds, saying yes, even if it cost his life, it would save him. Smiling, Zhang Ai explains that it's also natural for him to save Lan because it's his duty since they're family. Crying, the boy vows to cultivate diligently in the future to prevent such things from happening again. Suddenly, Zhang's communicator starts ringing. Picking it up, he realizes it's the martial arts guild communicator he received upon registering. On the other end, someone introduces herself as Yuzheng Xiao Kai. She reminds him of the mission she mentioned earlier and asks if he's coming, warning that this mission is extremely dangerous. At Chang Zheng's weapon shop, he sees several shurikens and becomes excited. He asks his friend how many shurikens he has. The friend replies that there are 100, which impresses Zhang, who says he'll take them all and requests some throwing knives as well. The shopkeeper says that won't be a problem. Sometime later at the Nine Rings Star Crown Hotel, several men are gathered and talking. This is Zheng Hu, a rank 8 martial artist, who remarks that he's heard a rank 3 will be joining the group this time. This is Liu Qianjun, rank 8, who says he trusts Zheng Qi's judgment and wouldn't have invited Li to join them. Zheng then arrives, apologizing for the delay. One of his colleagues asks if he's advanced to rank 8, and the leader confirms, saying he broke through recently. Another remarks that this means the mission's success rate will be much higher this time. The operations commander has been talking about a rank 3 martial artist he found strong enough for the mission, who is already over 8 hours late and still hasn't arrived. However, the leader points to the boy, saying he's right there. One of the subordinates comments that whether or not he's strong, they can test him later. Introducing him, the leader says this is their last team member. Zheng introduces himself, saying his name is Zhu Zheng. The man introduces himself as Zheng Hu and says he's heard many compliments about him. However, the boy ignores him, prompting Zheng Hu to wonder if he's being looked down upon. Zhang replies that he's not being disrespectful, just afraid his bones might break after shaking hands with him. Sometime later, the leader announces that everyone is gathered and instructs them to head to the room on the top floor to plan the next step. Arriving at the room, which looks quite large, the hero is visibly impressed by the place. Seeing this, one man calls the boy a country bumpkin. Once inside, another team member drinks a cold beverage. Responding, he says it's refreshing, and another colleague also calls him a country bumpkin. The leader explains that the mission's reward is incredible, but so is the risk, and if anyone wants to back out, now is the time. Stating this, no one chooses to withdraw, deciding to proceed with the mission. Continuing the explanation, the leader states that the reward is divided so each person receives 10%, with the remaining 40% distributed based on contributions. One of them complains, saying it's unfair. He doesn't mind receiving 10%, but questions why the protagonist deserves the same. The leader then asks how you would propose distributing it fairly, but the man admits he hasn't thought of an alternative. Another suggests that everyone receives a fixed 5% and the remaining 70% is distributed based on contributions. Smiling, the boy says this distribution is fair and has no objections. Surprised by the boy's reaction, a man says he also has no objections. Stating this, the leader asks if the boy truly agrees with the distribution, but the boy is preoccupied, marveling how soft the sofa is. He wonders if the boy expects to earn more than them, rank 8 martial artists. Clapping his hands, the leader declares that everything is decided and announces a gift for each of them. He explains they can visit the martial arts shopping center to choose equipment worth up to a mid-tier green crystal, which you will pay for. The hero then asks about the martial arts shopping center, and the man explains it's a guild-affiliated store open to rank 7 martial artists and above. The boy asks if he's qualified, but the leader says no, that we can shop online via the Star Crown Hotel's computer. On the computer, the boy remarks that it feels similar to buying treasures online, except the items are even more expensive. Impressed by the extensive inventory, he comments that Titan City is more complex than he thought. He finds an elven bow with a 90% conduction rate, priced at 2 high-tier purple crystals. Stating this, he remarks that even if he sold everything he owns, he wouldn't afford it. He hopes to earn 2 high-tier purple crystals during this mission. He also looks at boots with a mountain glow effect and decides they will suffice. The man completes the orders, confirms the deliveries, and thanks him for choosing the items. Back in the brightly lit room, everyone grows excited to unbox their purchases. One man comments that the boy profited the most since he hasn't even gone on the mission yet and has already earned a green crystal. With crossed arms, the leader reflects that the monkey wine he gave the boy only cost a few purple crystals. Shocked, another team member questions why the boy spent a mid-tier green crystal on just those boots. Casting them out, the boy thinks these boots, which cost a green crystal, feel different from regular ones. He notices he feels much stronger and decides he'll aim for that elven bow after the mission ends. With that, everyone is already in the car heading toward the mission. At one point, the man with the mohawk asks Zhang to stop the car for a moment. He then tells the boy to step outside. The leader explains that they want to test his strength and that, while he trusts him, they still need to evaluate his skills. Stepping aside, he tells Zhang to deal with the small creatures over there. Another colleague intervenes, saying that sending a rank 3 to hunt 2 sand wolves might be a bit harsh. Yet another remarks that if you can't handle something like this, there's no need for him to come along as he'll only end up dead. Meanwhile, the leader thinks that the situation is indeed cruel, but cruel for the 2 wolves, not the boy. The hero approaches the 2 monsters without hesitation. The wolves immediately start howling at him. Losing sight of the boy, the man with the mohawk says it's a pack of sand wolves and suggests they bring Zhang back. However, the leader interrupts, telling him to stand down. He remarks that this is a test and questions whether a pack is more convincing than just 2 wolves. A group of wolves stands before Zhang, ready to attack. With a cold gaze, Zhang positions himself to attack with his bow and arrow. Seeing this, the leader eagerly watches to see what will happen. The entire wolf pack charges at once. The hero fires his arrows, landing a fatal shot on each wolf. He remarks that his skills aren't so rusty after all. Witnessing this, everyone in the group is left speechless, except for the leader who had expected this level of skill. The group in the car can't believe what they've just seen. Shocked, the man with the mohawk asks what Zhang ate to grow so strong, commenting that people like him make normal folks lose their jobs. Some time passes, and they're still in the car heading toward the mission. The leader announces that they've entered the outer area of the red zone and must prepare for the task ahead. At the sound of movement, they climb onto the sunroof. Positioning a long-range weapon, they prepare to fire. They shoot several rounds at a giant bird. The bird quickly retreats, fleeing the area. The leader warns everyone to stay alert as they're entering the mutant red zone. Afterward, they enter the forest and park the cars. Looking at his tablet, the leader notes the target is 50 kilometers away. He reminds everyone to stay vigilant while passing through the red zone. Zhang advises them to wait because there are monsters nearby. The men claim they can't sense anything and think Zhang is joking. However, the hero tells them to trust Merrick and prepare for battle. He then shoots an arrow into the sky, startling everyone. Suddenly, a monster emerges from the bushes. The leader warns them to be cautious, identifying it as a level 8 forest leopard. Apparently, this leopard isn't here to play around. It immediately prepares to attack, charging at the group without hesitation. Jumo intercepts, blocking the strike and declaring that if the leopard wants to go anywhere, it'll have to defeat him first. The group moves in to assist their colleague. They quickly land several blows on the beast. These strikes inflict significant damage. The beast roars in pain. However, it isn't defeated and becomes even more aggressive. It charges at the man, attacking with even greater force. Now inches from his head, it's about to bite him. Suddenly, the leader steps in, calming the beast. The man with the purple hair also strikes using his spear. He lands a hit on the animal's chest. This brings the beast crashing to the ground. Staying this, Jumo Kama spots an opening to attack. Striking, he declares an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. He calls the beast a bastard as he lands the final blow. Observing the scene, Jen comments that such coordination is expected of rank 8s. He notes that if they attack together, the leopard has no chance of escape. As they prepare to leave, he remarks that luck isn't so bad since they've already secured a green crystal on their first attempt. The hero asks Brother Hugh if he wants the beast. Hugh replies that he doesn't. It's heavy and reeks. He adds that the smell of blood will only attract more monsters. Zhang decides to take it himself, reasoning that the organs of a level 8 beast can be sold for a good price. He jokes that ever since he set his sights on that elven bough, he started to become a scavenger. Sometime later, the group continues deeper into the forest. The leader comments that there are still 7 layers ahead and that they must hold on. The man with the mohawk says that once this mission is over, he plans to drink for an entire week. His colleague corrects him, reminding him to focus on the mission first. He adds that they are challenging the rank 9 pterosaur, the wind god. Another teammate mentions that this creature caused trouble in Titan City and was driven away by a rank 9 martial artist. Zhang, confused, wonders what's going on and why he's had a strange feeling ever since entering this place. Looking to the side, he notices several skulls in the area. Taking in his surroundings, he starts to feel uneasy. He realizes that many skeletons are tangled in vines. Shocked, he says this is bad news. He warns the group to be careful. However, the vines quickly ensnare them. These vines seem to have a visible HP bar. One vine attempts to strike a man who narrowly dodges. The man with the mohawk questions what this thing is and why it's so strong. His colleague steps in saying he'll help. He delivers a direct blow to the vine. He remarks that it's incredibly tough and given the circumstances, prepares to use his skill, charging in full force. Amazingly, he manages to cut the vines into several pieces. He notes that these things are tough to handle, and his colleague agrees, saying they need to free the leader and others first. They're trapped in the vines above the protagonist. Zhang observes that attacking vines reveals their HP bar and notes there must be a weak point. Analyzing the vines, he identifies their weak spots on the surrounding trees. He fires a circ flash at one of the trees. He tells the team to leave it to him. Hearing this, 2 men become anxious, but the protagonist insists, asking them to trust him. He continues firing 3 flashes at the tree trunks. After taking multiple hits, the vine's HP drops significantly. After defeating the vines, he gains 500 XP and is surprised by the amount. During the battle, he shoots at several trees. He continues firing multiple shots at each target. When his teammates see this, they are astonished. They begin freeing the leader and another person from the vines. Frustrated, the leader says he'll cut and burn all of them. A subordinate remarks that he doesn't need to do that. Pointing to the protagonist, he says it's already over. They announce their relief, saying they've leveled up to 34. All the vines and trees are defeated. The man with the mohawk finds something special and identifies it as the Dragon Ring of Zhongli Shui, a divine weapon with 20% conduction. Another teammate comments that he never thought one of the best rank 8s would have died here. His colleague notes that many people likely came here to hunt such treasures, only to lose their lives. The leader remarks that, if not for Zhang, he and his colleagues would have met the same fate. One of the men thanks Zhang, calling him brother. Shaking hands, Zhang replies that they're a team, so there's no need to thank him. Laughing, the man with the mohawk hugs him, saying he's amazing. From now on, he declares they'll be brothers through life and death. After all this, they head toward the main objective. Rocks begin falling from a towering red mountain. The men note how loud the noise is, and the leader says the source is still far away. Using binoculars, they spot the creature they've been searching for. One man notes that, as the intel suggested, the monster's wings are injured. The bowl-cut teammate says he wants to test the monster's offensive power. The leader instructs Zhang Hu to assist Qian. Aiming, Qian declares that his caliber 10 sniper rifle will be enough to stop the beast. He then charges at the monster, striking its wing directly with his sword. However, the attack has no effect and the monster is about to retaliate. Providing cover, the man with the mohawk fires his sniper rifle. The shot lands directly where the monster was about to strike. Feeling the hit, the monster lets out a pained roar. Qian backs away due to the ear-splitting cry. They stand face to face with the fallen beast lying between them. The mythical monster begins flapping its massive wings. It then flies toward another area. The man with the mohawk manages to dodge but notices something strange. The monster directly attacks him, hitting him with a powerful blow. After taking the impact, he drops to his knees. The leader steps forward, telling everyone to attack together. The Charizard-like monster starts building up fiery energy in its mouth. One of the team members remarks that this creature is extremely strong and seemingly has no weaknesses. Analyzing the situation, Zhang realizes he can now discern its weak points. The monster continues spewing fire like Charizard. The man with the mohawk raises a shield. Another teammate asks the leader what they should do now, knowing they can't get close to it. Frustrated, the leader wonders if they should just retreat. Zhang speculates that the monster may be burning its life force as a price for its power. He believes the right positioning can cause critical damage and begins attempting to pinpoint its weak spots. Desperate, the leader says they have no choice but to pull back for now. Suddenly, Zhang sprints toward the monster. Using his flash ability, he closes the distance quickly. He lands a precise, powerful strike on its chest. Following up, he uses the resound ability. The monster, now writhing in pain from the strong damage, grows even more enraged and charges at the hero. Seeing this, his teammates worry aloud, convinced he can't evade the incoming attack. Focused on the battle, Zhang knows this is his chance. He charges forward with everything he's got, using the stab skill. He notes that using the skill seems to reduce the monster's HP, making it possible to defeat it this way. The monster begins to collapse after the attack. Quickly, Zhang dodges its fall. Calling to the leader, he tells the team to use their weapons to keep the creature under control from a distance and leave the rest to him. Holding his head in disbelief, the man with the mohawk mutters that Zhang is a crazy demon. With a manic grin, the leader yells for everyone to attack now. As they strike, the group marvels at how Zhang was able to injure the wind god Pterosaur, wondering how he did it. The monster, enraged by the barrage of attacks, becomes even more aggressive. Suddenly, it takes a direct hit to the head from a powerful shot. Laughing, one of the men mocks the creature, asking if it still plans to spit fire without permission. The monster attempts to attack another teammate. Closing in, Zhang lands another hit, reducing its HP further. Startled, one of the men asks where Zhang came from. Lighting a cigarette, another teammate recalls that it all started with that monkey wine. The man with the mohawk jokes that he almost challenged Zhang earlier and questions if the leader wanted him dead. The bowl-cut man comments he's never seen someone use star power like that. After taking a blow to the head, the monster rises again. Running toward the team, Zhang warns everyone to scatter, as the beast is about to enter chase mode. The dinosaur starts spewing even more fire into the air. The group realizes what's happening, but Zhang explains that the creature must have internal injuries and will eventually bleed out. Half an hour passes. As Zhang predicted, the monster collapses to the ground with its HP depleted. Gen levels up to 35. Now at this level, he can finally learn the skill he's been aiming for. He looks over the main thief abilities, the capacity for self-exportation and entering stealth mode. The leader instructs Ling to collect the body, Ahu to prepare the dismantling, and the rest to assist with the process. At this point, one of the warriors approaches the monster to dismantle it. However, his knife breaks after the first strike. He questions why this thing is so tough. His colleague explains he just needs to use star power. Excited, the man exclaims they're rich and notes it's only human to forget that something like this is worth a green crystal. However, another comments that a green crystal is nothing. They have a purple crystal right here. The leader remarks that if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he'd never have believed a rank 3 martial artist could take down a pterosaur. Zhang laughs, saying it was just a bit of luck. One of the men retorts that Zhang is a demon who still pretends to be humble, adding that even with all the luck in the world, they couldn't have killed that thing. Back at the Star Crown Hotel, the leader declares that this hunt was a huge success and suggests they discuss how to divide the rewards. He proposes they decide whether to exchange the loot for stellar crystals or distribute the items. The leader, however, says that Zhang, who made the biggest contribution, should decide first. The boy replies that those who need items will receive items and those who prefer crystals will get crystals. He also mentions a hunch stating that there's likely more to the pterosaur's records and that its characteristics are not yet fully understood. Hearing this, the man with the mohawk says he'll take the items too, trusting Zhang's judgment. The leader explains that based on the agreement made before the mission, everyone will receive 5%, with the remaining 70% split among the contributors. Zhang will take half of that, which amounts to 35%. Raising his hand, Zhang suggests selling the skin to a trusted weapon shop. The leader adds that they shouldn't leave a small portion, but instead exchange it for points with the Martial Artists Guild. Sometime later, at the Martial Artists Guild, an official examines the trophy, confirming that it's indeed from the wind god pterosaur. The man remarks that this proves they really killed the creature and laughs, saying they did an excellent job. As a reward, the director of the Martial Artists Guild announces a 10% increase in their contribution rate and awards them the 10-star member badge. Meanwhile, in the guild hall, all the warriors are in shock as news spreads that the mission to eliminate the pterosaur has been completed. They identify the team responsible and present them with the 10-star badge. Someone asks for an autograph, and a woman comments on how muscular the group looks. With the mission accomplished, the warriors begin to celebrate. Amidst the commotion, the hero quietly steps away, feeling slightly uncomfortable. He remarks that he's glad he didn't wear the badge. At the reception, he requests a private room to check some things in peace. Recognizing him, the receptionist addresses him as Mr. Zhu and politely asks him to wait a moment while they process his request. The hero realizes that the badge comes with stronger privileges than he had imagined. At Mansion No. 5 in Titan City, a man laughs, saying he's finally going to get his hands on the most conductive weapon. He mentions that he obeyed every rule, risking his life several times, and now has the money to achieve his goal. Quickly, he prepares to purchase the Elven Bow. However, someone buys it before him, and the sold-out signal appears. Shocked, he mutters that some bastard stole his bow. A delivery arrives, and the man is handed a box labeled Mr. Zhu. Opening it, he finds the beautiful Elven Bow. Excited, he exclaims that it's exactly what he expected from a weapon with such high conductivity, worth only 2 high-grade purple crystals. Sometime later, at the Victory Equipment Shop, the protagonist asks Brother Shang how many days it's been since he last slept. Laughing, Shang replies it's nothing and admits he's been busy creating incredible items using the materials they sent. He adds that he's preparing for an auction soon and invites Zhang to join if he has time. The boy says the auction sounds good and that he has some materials that could take the equipment to the next level. Surprised, Shang asks if they're new materials. Zhang responds, revealing its pterosaur skin, leaving Shang utterly astonished. Sometime later, in the outskirts of China City's forest, a man boasts about spotting a spear boar first. Another remarks that without help, they would have all been killed by the boar long ago. Annoyed, one of them retorts that they didn't ask for help and could have killed it on their own. The man, irritated, tells them not to dismiss his effort and accuses them of trying to steal his kill. Realizing he's a rank 6 martial artist, they quickly backtrack, saying they were only joking. Crossing his arms, the man says he knew they wouldn't do something like that. Suddenly, laughter erupts behind him, and he turns around. It's Zhang, who comments on the man's strange personality and how he always acts like a big shot among lower-level martial artists. Laughing, the man admits he was bored and decided to take a stroll. Zhang scolds him, and the man apologizes, promising he won't take anything from anyone. Changing the subject, the man tells Zhang that their leader wants to meet him. As Zhang leaves, he shares his contact information, saying they can reach out whenever needed. Upon seeing this, the men are shocked, as it turns out to be a rank 3 martial artist. Another comments that he must be a noble or the son of an official. A boar that size then appears. Then he notices something approaching. It's the protagonist, Zhang, who strikes it head-on. He says that even if it's not like stealth in a game, if he can hold his breath and make no sound, it will be similar in visibility. Looking at his phone, he notes that there are still a few kilometers to the Black Monkey area. The man tells them to move quickly and stay within the area. This group is called the Red Tripod. Upon seeing this, the hero realizes he went in the wrong direction. However, checking his tablet, he sees that he is in the right place and that his target must be deeper into the forest. He quickly uses the stealth ability to hide. Walking among the people unnoticed, several giant monkeys appear. One of the men comments that these creatures are here again and that they need to stop them. Observing, the protagonists understand that the Black Monkey territory must be just ahead and that this Red Tripod group is not so simple, possessing strong martial arts. As he leaves, he remarks that this group of monkeys works excellently as a team, so there must be a Monkey King leading them. After some time, 2 hours pass, and the boy says he has finally grasped stealth and now needs to try advancing to rank 4. Suddenly, he starts hearing many noises and comments that they are loud. But one hearing a noise is a monkey that strongly resembles the Monkey King. Using the stealth ability to get closer, the boy confirms that there really is a Monkey King in this place. He notes that there are many monkeys here, and that killing the Monkey King will be very difficult. However, he notices something strange. He claims to understand why these monkey groups are risking their lives trying to stop people from advancing. This monkey seems to be eating something. Smiling, the hero moves through the middle of the group with his ability, unnoticed. However, he grows nervous upon seeing an enraged monkey. It quickly passes near the protagonist, who narrowly avoids it. However, it ends up noticing his presence, deciding to attack and charge at him. Yet it finds nothing, and several monkeys are left confused. The protagonist realizes he's close and decides to take the risk. He decides to use his ability to quickly run toward the tree. However, one of the monkeys notices his presence because the hero accidentally hits a tree. Determined, he starts climbing it. Upon seeing the valuable object, he begins counting and says there are 7 in total, which will make him rich. However, he needs to think of a way to lure the Monkey King away from the location. He picks some sort of fruit. From atop a tree, he throws it down below. The noise enrages all the monkeys. Analyzing the situation, the hero thinks the time is now. He quickly approaches the location behind the Monkey King and cuts away all these objects for himself. As he turns around, the Monkey King senses something is wrong. It sees that all the objects it was protecting have vanished. Deeply enraged, it starts hitting itself. A powerful sonic wave begins emanating from the monster's noise, hindering the protagonist. One of the monkeys approaches him. However, it ends up ignoring him. He notices that all the monkeys are ignoring him and doesn't understand what's happening. Still, the Monkey King issues his orders. At that moment, Jing decides to flee with all his might. He uses the flash ability to escape quickly without being noticed. At this moment, the Monkey King uses some sort of ability, firing some kind of laser cannon or flame at the ground. It is consumed by rage, ready for revenge. It then confronts the hero in hand-to-hand combat. The hero positions himself to fight. Hearing the sound of men, he alerts them that terrifying war has been emitted. Another comments that dawn has broken and that the beast is leaving. The Monkey King is charging in a fury, devastating everything nearby. The protagonist narrowly escapes. Slightly exhausted, he apologizes for leading the Monkey King to them. As he walks, he notices something strange. Suddenly, he realizes he has become a rank 4 martial artist, which makes him very happy. The men tell each other not to panic and to enter the car in an orderly manner. Meanwhile, the hero is escaping through the forest. Scanning the area, he notes that the large monkey seems to have been blocked by those high-ranking martial artists. He then decides to get into one of the cars. Leaving, he waves to the people and wishes them good luck, saying he's out of here. 2 people analyze the photo, saying it's definitely that boy, that he stole the red Viper from the group. Another comments that the description of his car matches the car parked near the group a few days ago. The man is furious with Zhu Zheng, and his colleague says the task he trusted is complete, that Zheng is now a member of the 7 Stars Martial Artists Association, and that he completed the Parasaur mission with Zheng and others. He adds that if he wants to deal with him, it won't be so simple. Their leader is extremely angry and throws the photos on the ground, questioning if he's saying his brother died for nothing. His colleague then says he knows some people who can help him deal with his problems. He shows the Dark Shadow weapon. Meanwhile, the protagonist observes the Blood Orchid, which has powerful muscle regeneration properties and which he stole from the monkeys. He notes that if it were in the hands of someone skilled in making medicine, it would be an invaluable treasure, and that the uncle who rented him a bike might know how to make medicine. He invites the man to eat, and the man asks if he's rich because he's acting very mysteriously and bringing him to such a place to eat. Zheng says he's a bit upset because he's known the man for a long time but still doesn't know his real name. He introduces himself as Zhu Zheng, and the man says his name is Yang Zikan, but that he can call them the same as last time. Laughing, Zheng explains that he came for a reason. Showing the orchid, he asks the merchant if he recognizes it. Then he hands it to him. Stammering, the man says it's his first time touching a real blood orchid. He tells him to put it away quickly, warning that this type of item catches the attention of martial artists and could cause unwanted trouble if others see it. He says that if he were still the CEO of a medical organization before the apocalypse, no matter the price, he would buy something so precious. However, he admits that now he's a low-level martial artist destined to have no connection with such things. Sipping his wine, the protagonist explains that he didn't invite him today to evaluate or buy the item. He asks if he'd be interested in working with him on the possibility of creating medicines, alchemy techniques, and with the blood orchid, starting a great business. The man then asks if he has enough combat skills to protect this secret recipe and mentions that his place needs a large amount of money to maintain. Zhang responds that to him, these two problems are nothing. Both then toast with their wine glasses. Back at his house, Su panics at the idea of being a shop owner. The protagonist explains that he's preparing to open a shop selling medicines, equipment, and other items, but Su says she's never run a shop before. Len comments that she'll get used to it over time and reassures her that, as her steward, no one will cause trouble while he's guarding the place. In his mind, the hero wonders about selling medicine and opening a store, questioning if it will all work out. He states that since they decided to open a store, they should make it lively. 5 days pass, and the man asks Su if this is her new shop. He mentions that the store manager will be Sun Yun and that Lan is in charge of security. However, the man comments that Zhang's security guard might be enough and thinks he was careless because Zhang is still so young they needs to talk to him. Sometime later, several cars stop in front of the store. Laughing, the leader asks Su if they're late, and the boy says they arrived just on time. Seeing all this, the man sips tea while noting that the people are strong, but comments that it's still not enough to protect the blood rose. At the corner, two people start watching the store. One wonders when they'll charge the protection fee, and his colleague says he should wait until the fortunes leave. When he sees who's there, the man is in complete shock. Another leader appears, asking Zhang if he's late as well. Zhang is shocked, questioning if rank 8 martial artists are that common these days. Insanely, he remarks that no wonder Zhang is so confident in opening a store, calling him a madman. He then declares that Zhang is incredibly naive. The store's grand opening takes place and everyone congratulates Chief Zhou. Two tall men in a building comment about him being just a level 4 martial artist. One of them questions his brother Zhang if it's worth wasting time killing him. The man replies that he let him escape last time, but now he must kill that bastard with his own hands. Inside the car, the leader asks Brother Zhao if their strength is enough to kill the Monkey King. The boy comments that from what he's heard, the Monkey King is already injured, and if they work together and cooperate well, there won't be any problems. However, upon arriving at the location, they notice that someone seems to have been there before them. But the Monkey King still appears to be alive, and as they approach, they see that the beast is completely enraged. It quickly prepares to attack, heading straight for Xiang, who tries to dodge. However, the boy fails and is thrown against a tree, hitting his back hard on the trunk. The Monkey King moves toward him again to finish him off. Blocking the attack, the leader tells him to kill the others first and then help defeat the Monkey King. He says they're members of the War Fox group, and the hero notes that their teamwork is impressive. He thinks Gao messed up and wants to snatch the Monkey King from this group, but it won't be easy. Several people shout that they heard the sound in a fight ahead. Laughing, the man says it seems they're exhausted and that they arrived just in time. Apparently, this group is made up of mercenaries. One of the men in the group comments that they're the War Foxes and are trying to kill the Monkey King, so he asks for a hand. However, the man questions if he thinks he's here for a stroll and calls it a feast. Still, the red-haired man tells Xiang not to overdo it and reminds him not to make enemies of their allies. The purple-haired man tells him not to worry about that today because they're going to die. He then throws a knife at some of the group's allies. Making a Wolverine reference, he tells Team 1 to kill the Monkey King and Team 2 to join him in making the War Foxes disappear from this world. Observing all this, the leader ponders what he should do. Looking to the side, he notices that Zhang is completely unresponsive. The protagonist moves toward the monster and comments that there's no need for any psychological burden. He then approaches one of the men, attacking him from behind. Quickly, the Monkey King strikes. One of the men asks what Zhang is doing. Panting, the man doesn't understand what's happening. Zhang swiftly takes him down. Seeing this, all of his companions are terrified. The boy has activated his abilities. Without a second thought, he charges at the Monkey King, landing multiple frontal blows. Within seconds, he brings the beast down. One of the men comments that besides killing the Monkey King, this person also took the crystals from the Monkey King's teeth that the Martial Scientists Association requested. The purple-haired man starts running, saying someone stole the Monkey King's crystal, and that he luckily found 3 idiots. Irritated, he comments that 3 people managed to get robbed by just 1 person. The leader is shocked, saying Brother Zhu pulled it off and that this type of martial artist specializes in speed. Hidden, the hero realizes he can no longer flee, and to avoid incidents similar to what happened with Lu Chen-yu, the people who saw him today must die. The leader asks if he's sure Zhang ran this way, and the other man says yes, that he was very fast, but he's certain it was in this direction. The man remarks that this guy is no ordinary person, as he managed to kill a rank 6 martial artist without making a sound and bury all the Monkey King's valuables quickly. However, his subordinate says this guy seems to be just a level 4 martial artist. The leader then tells everyone to stay silent because he can hear him and wonders how a level 4 martial artist can run so fast. The protagonist suddenly appears above them, ready to attack, and quickly delivers a powerful blow to wound the enemy's backs. He then strikes another subordinate in the chest as well. Because of the noise, all the birds nearby take flight. The man asks who he is, and the hero replies that he doesn't need to know. With a sadistic look, Jeng says it's fine if he doesn't want to talk now because there are many ways to make him speak later. However, the hero quickly begins to ascend, disappearing from view. Frightened, the leader looks around frantically, asking where he went. Landing a full blow and smiling, the hero says that someone about to die doesn't need to know so much. After defeating them, he comments that they were quite wealthy, and now he must deal with the rest of the group. One member of the War Fox group says he can't help them. However, he ends up being annihilated without a second chance. Seeing this, the leader remarks that the War Fox group was exterminated quickly. Looking to the side, he notices Yu has already returned and comments that the Vents Reverse Guild will also be wiped out today. He starts questioning the leader Shu, and the protagonist begins an aggressive countdown. He tells his brothers to prepare to support him later and shoot at them. One of the men comments that it was difficult, while the other remarks that the leader is taking too long to return. The two begin to notice something strange approaching. They wonder if it's the guy who stole the monkey item and if the leader went to kill him. Noticing the hero's weapon, they realize it's a high conductivity weapon, thinking they'll become rich. Without ceremony, Andy begins firing his 3 standard arrows. They head toward the enemies. All 3 are easily hit. One of them charges forward, asking if he thinks they're weak. However, another person fires at him. The man narrowly avoids the shot. His colleague warns him to be careful because the enemy has friends. The shooter, their leader, remarks how refreshing it is and says he's wanted to kill that bastard for a long time. Elsewhere, a boy asks Brother Chen if they're going to intervene. Ken responds that there's no need for now. Watching the situation, he notes that they're retreating. One of his companions comments that Brother Chen is very strong, having fought 5 people alone. The leader says it was all thanks to Zheng, and if not for him, he wouldn't have gotten so much loot. The hero then remarks that they also have excellent teamwork. However, looking to the side, he notices something strange. He uses his ability and approaches the leader, saving him from a fatal attack. Hiding, he warns them to be cautious as they're being targeted by something. The sniper questions how he avoided the shot. Ken then observes the boy. The protagonist tells them to stay hidden while he goes to investigate. Using his incredible speed, he begins scouting the area. He comments that it's coming, and his colleague asks if he's stupid enough to run to his death. At that moment, the old man decides to jump down to confront the protagonist. His subordinate remarks that he's just a level 4 martial artist and wonders why his boss is so scared. The old man continues running through the forest, searching for the hero. He says that if showing off is what it takes, then so be it. From above the forest, Jing observes and understands there are 2 people. He chooses to use his stealth ability to remain unseen. Searching for his enemy, the gray-haired youth says he must be nearby and wonders why no one is here. Behind him, Zheng comments that being only level 6 explains his confidence, but it's a pity he crossed paths with him. However, before finishing him off, Zheng senses something approaching. He realizes it's Liu Yongshin, who is still alive. He quickly remembers this person. Furious, he says there's a debt to Y City that he'll make Liu repay tenfold. Feeling uneasy, the gray-haired youth grows concerned. Looking around, he comments that it feels like someone is behind him and wonders if he's imagining things. Changing his demeanor entirely, Zheng states that killing them outright would be too kind. Since they want to play, he'll play slowly. The gray-haired youth then spots the protagonist. Watching him, he says he must get closer. Holding his blade, he remarks that one more step and he'll be able to kill him. However, the hero stops at a distance. Nervous, the youth realizes he really has stopped. Looking in his direction, he calls him to the confrontation. Not understanding, he wonders if Sheng already knew he was there. Emerging from his hiding spot with a weapon imbued with magic, the youth declares it's time for him to die. His attack is strong enough to split a bow in half, but Zheng manages to evade it. Using his ability, Zheng appears behind the youth. He then unleashes his attack at full power. Afterward, he retreats. Realizing that the single critical attack was enough to cause him to lose a significant amount of HP, the man falls into complete despair, rolling on the ground from side to side. Pleading for his life, he begs not to be killed. The old man, witnessing this, understands that one strike had completely destroyed a level 6 martial artist. Zheng calmly observes the boy from above. He tells Zheng that the world is indeed small and that the city has thousands of people waiting to be buried alongside him. Nervously, the man realizes he has been exposed. Looking up, the boy demands the man stop hiding. He adds that as a martial arts apprentice, he couldn't save his father. But now that he's a rank 4 martial artist, he asks if the man thinks he's stronger. just because he's rank 7. He remarks that there are many things in this world a man won't understand even after death, which makes the man even more uneasy. Without hesitation, the man steps out of hiding. However, he realizes the boy has disappeared and wonders if he fled. Then he understands that isn't the case as he feels the gaze of a predator on him. Looking back, he cuts down a tree, stating that he knows Zhang is nearby and demanding he show himself. 10 minutes pass, and after breaking numerous trees, he questions if Zhang really escaped. Exhausted, he mutters that he was afraid of a level 4 martial artist and couldn't move. Observing this, the hero remarks that he had been waiting for this moment when the man would be exhausted and careless. Using his ability, Zhang appears behind the man and strikes a fatal blow to his back. The man manages to avoid it, but the protagonist swiftly dodges with equal intensity. He then counterattacks, aiming for the man's neck. Zhang comments that it's not a bad stealth attack, but it's a pity it's useless against him. The boy asks if a man knows about the phantom arenas, and the man questions what he's talking about. Explaining, Zhang says he used a phantom spider's venom and applied it to his dagger. The man collapses to his knees. Zhang says that thinking of his father and the people who die because of him, he shouldn't let the man die so easily. But he knows people like him can't provide any useful information and tells him not to worry, as he'll investigate who sent him. At the noodle restaurant, the protagonist thanks Xiao Heng for handling the equipment and skin this time, mentioning that he'll use stellar points to split the profits. The leader then asks Brother Zhou to stop and make a toast. Someone calls the hero, identifying themselves as the leader of the Lightning Flash team, Yu Xiao, and asks if he knows Zhang. The hero replies that he's heard of team leader Yu. At that moment, Yu Xiao says it's not much, and since Zhang seems impressed, he'll get straight to the point. He explains that in 4 days, the Lightning Flash team has a mission with a reward of a purple crystal in mission 596, asking if Zhang is interested. Meanwhile, at the association, a man asks if this time will be successful. His subordinate replies that Zhang has already understood the criteria for advancement, and it won't be an issue. One of his subordinates arrives announcing that he has finally broken through. Ecstatic, he declares that he is now a level 5 martial artist, and his boss praises him, saying it's expected of someone under his watch. The boss says they'll celebrate and that the boy can ask for anything he wants. The boy mentions that he still can't forget that girl. He says that since the first time he saw her, he fell in love and can't control himself. At the hero's shop, Sue asks the young master why he inherited flowers, and the boy suddenly replies that he saw a very pitiful boy selling flowers. Sighing, Lan comments that if the young master spent more time cultivating instead of trying to be romantic. Suddenly, a car pulls up in front of the store. The blue-geared man asks why the young master bought so many flowers, and he replies it's none of his business. A man appears, laughing, saying it indeed has nothing to do with him and that it's a gift for Miss Sue. Sue apparently recognizes him, and the red-haired man comments that she still remembers him. Approaching, he says he doesn't like using violence and asks if they could talk. Intervening, Zhang warns the man he has 3 seconds to leave. After that, everyone starts laughing and the lunatic questions if he heard Zhang correctly. Turning toward the hero, he attempts to insult him, but before finishing his sentence, a blade swiftly approaches. The bully questions what Zhang is trying to do. The protagonist explains that by speaking so arrogantly in his store, he should ask himself who he thinks he's talking to. In his mind, the red-haired man wonders if this is the speed of a level 4 martial artist. His boss shows up, demanding Zhang release him and cursing him, threatening to destroy his store otherwise. Sue pleads with the young master not to be so reckless, suggesting they can report this to the Titan Guard team. Seeing this, the bully becomes slightly nervous. Smiling, the bully says Zhang wouldn't dare kill him as he wouldn't escape punishment from the Titan Guard. But the protagonist pays little attention to his words. Zhang quickly removes the knife from the bully's reach and grabs him by the neck. He asks if the bully is scared, and the boss shouts at him to let go, calling him a bastard. Suddenly, a voice commands those causing trouble to stop immediately. From the sky, 2 green-clad figures descend gracefully. It's 2 city guards who land perfectly. They recognize Zhu Zhang. Crying, the bully begs them to punish him, claiming Zhang murders people in the streets. One of the guards orders Zhang to release the man and questions if he's looking to die here. The red-haired man mocks Zhang, asking if he will still act arrogant, and begins laughing. The protagonist comments that he hates being threatened. Holding the knife near the bully's neck, Zhang says if they want him to let go, he'll gladly oblige. He then throws the man toward his boss, who realizes his companion has fainted. Furious, the boss holds his colleague and curses Zhang. Smiling, Zhang remarks that the man died by his own hands and it's not his fault. The old man shouts that Zhang will pay for this, but one of the guards orders him to stop immediately. The guard tells Zhang that this matter will end here and warns him not to cause any more deaths. He adds that even with Zhang's status, he can ignore the rules and regulations of the city. Saying this, the boss becomes livid, questioning if he heard correctly. Zhang responds, telling leader Xu not to delay and says if they don't cause any more trouble, he won't kill anyone. The leader then asks his men if they're leaving or if they'd rather stay and be killed. Afterward, the protagonist invites leader Xu inside for tea. However, Xu ignores him and walks away. The crowd is astonished, commenting that it's the first time they've seen the Titan Guard handle matters like this. Lan welcomes everyone, telling them they can enter. Xu instructs them to form a line and not push, assuring there's enough stock for everyone. Zhang announces he'll be leaving for a while and asks Lan to take care of the store in his absence. The girl admits she never thought the young master was so strong and feels bad for not trusting him and worrying. Meanwhile, one of the guards, furious, is destroying the forest. He wonders aloud when the Titan Guard became so cowardly. His boss asks if he knows about documentation dictionary number 16. The subordinate admits he doesn't understand what his boss is talking about. Leader Xiu explains that martial artist Zhang is level 5 and already a 10-star member of the Martial Artists Association, which is incredible but true. He adds that 10-star members are above all rules. Sometime later in the city, a man asks the boss if they can drop the matter. The old man laughs. He agrees to let it go only if the boy leaves Titan City forever. Otherwise, he'll show him a fate worse than death. A carriage passes through the gate. From inside, Zhang appears, shouting to chase the car, offering to pay with a blue crystal. Sometime later, deep in a forest, a boar is hit by a shot. The group's members are shocked, not understanding what just happened. The boss demands to know how they dare harm his porcupine like this and asks how they plan to pay for it. He questions how the old man could allow this, but his leader orders him to be quiet. The leader says they didn't know it belonged to him and offers to compensate with white crystals. But the boss scoffs, saying those crystals aren't even enough to pay for the boar's hide. With a terrifying expression, he asks why they don't use their lives to pay the debt. Observing, Jin concludes that when this man gets angry, he kills innocent people just to calm down, confirming they're nothing but trash. Suddenly, a large explosion occurs in one of the cars. This startles the boss, who demands to know what's happening and fired at the vehicle. The adjacent vehicle is also hit. At that moment, the old man wonders if it's a sniper, and his subordinate says they are fleeing. Suddenly, Jing appears in the midst of the chaos. With a manic expression, the old man remarks that something even more entertaining has appeared. Jen comments that terrorizing the weak isn't fun and suggests they play instead. Laughing, the old man says he has already seen his men dead, so he'll gladly handle this himself. One of his subordinates charges at the hero, claiming he'll kill him. However, Zhang easily takes him down. Approaching the subordinate, Zhang delivers a quick slash. The man cries out for the boss's help, saying he can't see Zhang. The old man mutters disbelief that such martial arts techniques could be humanly possible. He adds that the guy jumped out of the vehicle and that they can't escape, asking where he's hiding. One of the subordinates nervously asks the boss about the fallen leaves surrounding them. Realizing they're in trouble, the old man panics and orders them to leave quickly. Suddenly, a strong wind sweeps through the group. The protagonist has effortlessly defeated each of the subordinates. Seeing the massacre, the boss begins to laugh. He remarks that a level 4 martial artist took out his team single-handedly and admits that Zhang is strong. Without showing any emotion, Zhang responds that he's not the first person to say that. Drawing his sword, the old man asks if Zhang plans to fight him head-on. The two then engage in a deadly frontal battle. Later in the day, a driver asks Zhang how his earnings were, and he replies that it was half a year's worth, explaining that he didn't obtain anything truly valuable. At that moment, his communicator starts to ring. Answering, Zhang tells brother Shang he'll make it to the auction on time. At night at the auction, Zhang remarks that he didn't expect his friend to be so generous. Lan comments to Jadi Metz that people can be very generous. Owen greets the VIP client warmly, saying that this is his designated room. Sue is amazed, saying the room is beautiful and luxurious. Another woman announces that the auction is officially starting, presenting the first item. The blue-bearded man asks the young master if he'll participate, and Zhang replies that he hasn't decided what to buy yet. The woman introduces item number 35, a dagger with 35% convectivity, an unmatched weapon. Everyone is amazed by the dagger's 35% convectivity. In shock, Zhang tells brother Shang he must have that one. The woman announces the auction has begun, with the starting price being a low-grade crystal. Someone comments that it's cheaper than expected. The first bid is a low-grade purple crystal. Another bidder offers 1.2 low-grade purple crystals, followed by a bid of 1.5 low-grade purple crystals. The merchant explains to Zhou that the dagger is being sold by a company and cannot be directly sold to him. The protagonist must follow the auction rules and bid. However, Shang hints that he has a way to help Zheng obtain the dagger. The woman announces that the current bid is one high-grade purple crystal and asks if any honored guests want to raise it. Someone then bids 1.7 high-grade purple crystals. Everyone is shocked as this is an extremely high bid for just a dagger. Suddenly, someone offers 2 high-grade purple crystals. Lan questions if the bidder made an accidental offer, warning that if they can't pay, they'll be charged an additional 10%. Smiling, the woman announces the bid of 2 high-grade purple crystals, asking if there are any higher offers. With the gavel, she congratulates VIP Room 9 for acquiring the unmatched dagger for 2 high-grade purple crystals. Zheng now has the dagger in hand, testing it and noting it's indeed a high-value item. He thanks his merchant friend. The merchant explains that the company agreed to allow payment in installments as a life-saving item like this with 35% conductivity is priceless. However, Zheng disagrees, reflecting on how he values a good weapon over life-saving armor as the best defense. Facing a rank 7 wolf boss, Zheng notes that, as expected, the dagger with 35% conductivity easily pierced through the monster's defenses. After completing his training, he exits the room. A man remarks that this is a rank 7 room and is surprised to see a rank 5 martial artist leaving it. At that moment, Zheng's communicator rings and Leader Yu informs him of the meeting location, a forest house near the city. Some time later at the forest house, a rank 6 martial artist approaches Zheng, calling him an expert and welcoming him. Nervously, Zheng wonders why Zhang Shang always had that strange, intense expression, creating an awkward atmosphere.